video footage, it shows them just walking in as
Hold on,
security
excuse me.
guards
Do you
are-
think that the first people that got into the Capitol, do you think they just walked in?
Well, did you see them just walk in?
No, they didn't, because I actually watched the videos, ma'am.
Oh no. We was just looking at this yesterday. Cause there was somebody in my chat that was sitting there saying that, oh yeah, you know, they don't care about the January 6th thing after they saw the video of the people being let in. And I was just like, oh yeah, I know what video you're talking about. Let's go find it, right? And I'm sitting there, I'm trying to find a video because I know what video he's talking about. Not only could I not find the video, I know it exists. I seen it. I just, like, for the life of me, I just couldn't find it. Every other video we was sitting there pulling up was not these people just being let in. You know, sounds like, hold on. And the whole time I just kept saying, like, man, isn't this crazy that you know, somebody, you know, there's somebody that let them in, but they're not using the door that they're apparently being let in, right? Why are they sitting there breaking down these windows or these doors or pushing these cops or breaking this other stuff? Like, it was just like, to me, like, it's just crazy. Like, I don't understand why. This is a serious problem. This is a serious problem that, like, we have to figure out some way to address. So just to be clear, right? I want you to just put yourself in a guard shoe. And if you are, as a matter of fact, I want you to just think about this, right? If you are a guard, right? If you're a police officer, if you are charged in any position where you have to secure an area, okay? And thousands of people show up and make their way in, are you going to sit there and try to apprehend one person? Even if they start breaking stuff, are you really about to sit there and try to do anything? When that one or two person, whoever it is, came with like a ginormous group? No, the moment you put you inherently know, the moment I try to put my hands on this person, right, I'm gonna get my ass beat. Like, that's just that's just common sense. So like when the guard was just sitting there, just walking around with them, just sitting there, just monitoring them, like, that made perfect sense to me, right? He's outnumbered. He's not about to sit there. I'm not about to sit there and do anything. If I'm in that exact situation, right? The what you call it? The areas where we got the actual congressman is actually secured. We got people with guns over there, right? And they got the doors locked over there. All right, cool. I'ma just sit here. I'ma watch what everybody's doing, walking around, try to get them to, like, just not get close enough, close over there. And if they just start making their way over there, oh well, right? I'ma keep telling them no and try to, like, do my actual job. But I'm not about to sit there and stop them. Stop them for what? Like, how? How you about to stop 1,000 people? How you about to stop 10 people, right? That want to get to like whatever area they're trying to get to, and it's just you. Like, get the hell out of here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so crazy to me that they're gonna watch a video of that situation there and say, oh yeah, so clearly, like, you know, it was a tour, people will be let in and whatever. Like, get out of here. This is
Have you seen
stupid.
any of them? Have you the fuck you're talking about? You think the majority, there were like
okay.
millions and
I see what
millions of
you're
people protesting for like a year? You think the majority of those were violent? You're actually deranged if you think that. I don't even know.
I didn't say majority. I said
I
I
asked
saw
you.
BLM protests that were violent.
I didn't
that
ask what
were-
you saw on
there was
YouTube. I didn't say.
fire.
I'm asking
There
you about the
was
majority.
Hold on. She said she saw a lot of America burn, though. What is a lot of America? What is a lot of America supposed to mean in that in that context? Then
Majority of them were
cocktails.
violent.
And anchors from outlets that were reporting on the ground, such as CNN, I believe it was.
Yeah, I
that
know. I
said,
saw the same one. Yeah, I saw the same meme image. Don't worry, I've tweeted out before. It was real funny. Yep, I've seen it.
Fiery but mostly peaceful. Do you disagree that do you agree that you can call a protest that involves burning down police stations and streets and storefronts and where, you know, people have to put
oh my God, this is so crazy, right? If you're gonna sit there, you're gonna do that. Then why? How is it that you think January 6th wasn't the same thing? And then you got videos of them, like, literally crushing these cops in between doors, taking, like, dude's baton and beating and like beating this man on the ground with it, taking his taser or whatever. Like, bro, this is so crazy. This is crazy. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. Like, that's so wild to me. This is what I'm talking about. Like, this is like such a massive problem. Then again, this girl's in Canada, so it doesn't even matter. But just the fact that these type of people exist, right? These are paid actors. I swear these gotta be paid actors. They cannot be anything else. They have to be paid actors. I promise you, right? I'm trying to think, would I sit there and do it if somebody paid me for a large sum of money? Would I sit there and act like that? Well, I'll just sit there and just act like I have only 5 brain cells that they're functioning at any given time, and sit there and try to, like, lie to people sitting there saying that, oh yeah, you know, like, this obviously wasn't violent, but then I look at this other separate situation that has literally the exact same, like, things going on in it and say this one was actually violent. This is wild to me. This is so crazy.
up signs.
Well, first off, I would say that the FBI document case in Mar-a-Lago, given that Biden is guilty of the same crime, if it is one, I think that one's fraudulent.
Okay, just curious on that case. What is the crime?
It was, I think it was holding confidential documents after he left the White House, right?
You understand there's an intentionality aspect to that, right? You have to intentionally take and then knowingly hold classified information out of a SCIF.
Yeah.
It's not just like accidentally taking it, right? You understand that a lot of what Donald Trump is charged for in the Mar-a-Lago stuff is
That's the thing a lot of people are sitting there always forget, right? Like Biden, like Mike Pence, same exact thing, right? He had classified documents. He had classified documents. Like the difference is that you have to also show your intention to either keep said documents when you know you shouldn't have them, and / or do something with them you know you're not supposed to do. That second part. That second part is what get people hemmed up more than anything. Just the fact of you having documents that you shouldn't have isn't what is the actual crime that gets people in trouble. It's what you do after the fact. That's always the crime. That's what always actually gets you jail time or whatever, right? It's not enough that I sit there and I have a document I'm not supposed to have. But if I sit there and I try to sell it to China, like the one submarine, like I think like when they were recently, within a couple of months, it was like some submarine secrets or something that some guy was trying to sit there and give to China, like, stuff like that. Bro, it's a 90-day difference. So then when Trump sat there, he had said documents. He was told he had said documents and was told to give them back, and he did everything everything under the sun not to give them back. I'm sorry. Like there's no comparison between that and what Mike Pence did and what Joe Biden did, right? Because when they found out they had documents, what did they do? They gave them shits back. Like, oh yeah, my bad. And then gave them back. No evidence of any fraudulent activity, like them trying to sell it to Russia or something like that. Okay, yeah, we're good. That's it. Like it's just it's so wild to me, like that people sit there and try to like hold on to that argument. It's
obstruction of justice because he told his employee to hide documents from NARA and then the FBI, right? Or did you not know that because you haven't read that indictment? But you were throwing up.
And they got video of that too, right? They got video of the man, like of the man of whoever the Trump employee is, sitting there trying to shuffle the documents around to other places so other people wouldn't find it. It's just crazy.
About a tweet thing. And the idea that just because you calmly and politely suggest that a guy that tried to overthrow the republic ought to be president, and that's a respectable opinion because you say it with a low voice, is beyond redemption to me. It's disgusting.
Okay, so you think we're disgusting? You think we're a basket of deplorables? Okay, I have a question that's sort of related. I see that a person named
do you notice how she said what is it, basket of deplorables? That statement there. So like you already know what kind of time she's also on, right? She's not there to actually like engage in like actual legitimate matter, right? And then she has such a good depth of knowledge on all like the Hillary Clinton stuff, but then doesn't know anything about like the actual like Trump stuff that Trump is actually being charged with. That to me is crazy. To me that is pretty crazy. I was gonna say, right, because with all of the stuff that people have pushed, what didn't Alex Jones push the what is it that the school shooting thing, saying that it's fake, and then getting other people to believe it, and then harassing all the people whose children were killed. Then you got the people, right, that was saying that like basically Hillary Clinton was running like something underneath a pizza factory, a pizzeria that's skinning children alive or whatever it is, right? And then somebody eventually went up into that pizzeria with a weapon to try and like save these children. Like there has been so much of the rhetoric stuff, and now like I said, now you getting this thing where like hell, like with the like PBD podcast, right? Because like I like to watch them a lot. And they used to be like pretty balanced, obviously like right leaning, but at least like they weren't crazy. But after the whole like Obama gay letter thing, right? Then they started becoming hella unhinged. So like now it's like them, Tim Pool, of course, and like all these other like big right pundits that just keep on like pushing civil war, like to like come on, like it's just like at the end of the day, like I don't agree with it, but I totally understand like where Destiny is kind of like at this point with it, when you want to sit there, you want to try to like make comparisons on the left and the right with it. Again, I don't agree with it at all. But like what they say, right? If a pig wants to get dirty, why get in there with the pig? right? Because it's gonna have the home field advantage. So
You're just a speaker.
Okay, well, just
Okay, go on. Finish your point.
yes,
Sorry,
okay.
interrupting. Then we'll move on to Lauren. Finish your point.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. We'll give him the last word. Okay. I don't care. Like supporting a criminal is not my thing. It's supporting an insurrectionist. That's what I've said since the very beginning. I'm sure that if you go through a lot of people's actions, you might be able to find crimes. Maybe you can charge them. Maybe they even get convicted for. My issue right now is not the documents case with Donald Trump. That's just one of the 4 indictments he was facing. The 2 huge ones, the Georgia one and the big federal one, the Jack Smith one about insurrection. Those are the 2 massive things. Okay. I don't even know if you want to support a president who's had criminal charges, criminal behavior. I don't even think that's necessarily anti-American, depending on what you're criminally charged with. There's a whole host of like stupid things there where it's like that's criminal. You should be held accountable for it, but it's not like anti-American. Supporting an insurrection absolutely is.
It's not anti-American to not actually keep track of classified documents that put our classified activities in danger. That's not anti-American. That's not.
I mean, it would depend on.
As somebody who spent 10 years in the Army, I know that anybody that misplaced any classified materials in the Army, if you misplaced even a low-level classified document, one of them, you were going to lose rank, you were going to lose pay, you were very likely going to be getting jail in the Army. You're definitely going to be discharged from the military. So
Wait, so that hold on, just a real quick thing. You probably, I mean, you could be discharged, you could lose your job, you could lose rank, whatever. Likely criminally charged, probably not.
Here's the thing. First of all, as somebody who worked in the crypto side of the Army, yes, you will be criminally charged. In fact, I've seen people be criminally charged. I've seen soldiers be criminally charged for losing a crypto device in a Humvee that was blown the fuck up. So
Yeah, no.
What? Okay, he's talking out of his ass. No. Like, I'm sorry. That right there, that just pissed me off. Like, what? Like, you sit there. Okay, all right. Notice too how he said a crypto device, right? He didn't say classified documents. He said a crypto device. See how slick these people try to get, because they go into a topic that you probably don't know nothing about because they've been in whatever particular field, and then they sit there and they just like real quickly try to change up the word so that you don't even catch on, right? He said classified documents, but then the guy then brought up a crypto device, right? A crypto device completely different from a classified documents case, right? And then let me tell you something, right? He said because like a vehicle that was blown up. Let's go through what he's talking about face value. Okay, what is he saying at face value? He's saying that somebody, right, got criminally charged for not recovering a device in a vehicle that was blown up, right? That sounds kind of strange, right? Don't off the rip, doesn't that sound a bit strange to you that you would charge somebody criminally for not retrieving a device from something that was blown up, right? And we're using the context of the military here, right? So hold on, was the vehicle under attack? You know what I'm saying? Were there RPGs or something like on it? Was it a missile strike or something? Like, these are the things you want to start, like, you start thinking about, like, damn, that's kind of wild that I would sit there and be held criminally liable for not recovering a device during, like, an active war situation, right? So if what he's saying is true, which is not, I promise you it's not. I can, oh my God, it's not. It just isn't. If there was a criminal charge, there's significantly more to the story than what he just presented. I assure you, nobody's being held criminally liable for not retrieving something from a vehicle that's been blown up from an attack. All right? It could have been things like the vehicle was blown up through the negligence, right? What if, like, I don't know, put the wrong fuel or something inside the vehicle, right? And it just exploded, right? And then you didn't bother to go back and actually go, like, get the, get the device, right? Or that, like, it was, there was an attack, right? Like, there was an attack on, like, in a nearby village or something, right? Where there was RPGs and whatnot, and it blew the vehicle up, and after you neutralized the threat, you didn't bother to go and get your super sensitive stuff from the vehicle. But then even that's like a hell of a stretch, right? Because you have to show intent that you were just purposely like leaving it there. Like negligence at best, what he's describing is an Article 15 at best, right? So just so you know, like, because I don't want to go like too deep into it, right? You have like they call them articles, right? There's Article 15 and then there's court martials, right? Like the actual like criminal proceedings. And so like Article 15 is like how you can adjudicate crimes without actually going through like an actual formal court process, right? And it's usually used for like low stuff. When you sit there and say like you could lose your rank, get demoted and stuff like that, a lot of that is done through the Article 15 process. That's not a criminal proceeding. You know what I'm saying? That's you fucked up. We're going to hold you accountable for it. And then, we take we take all these things, right? The court process is for like the more serious things. And so like the fact that like the situation he's laying out, because again, there's no specific crime for mishandling like classified documents. It's always, like I said earlier, it is always what you did with said classified documents that's going to be the issue. And I'm realizing that it is now officially late for me. So I am going to finish this building here, like whatever I have like being built here. Let me just build it out, and then yeah, we're gonna cut this off because we gotta go. It's late, and we gotta go to work. So yeah, this all looks good, and then I can clean this all up like later or next time when I'm streaming. All right, jeez, man, gotta get this. Been such a late start for me. But we're just gonna go ahead and get straight to it. Okay. Just close this real fast. And get myself started. Everything looks good. Yep. Everything looks good. As far as I can tell. I don't need this no more. So let's just put this on Google. I want to close that browser and let's actually get started. Please tell me that they do have a way. No, there's no way I can watch this at regular speed. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. Let me think about this. I have to think about this now. That's so crazy. Why do they not have... There's no way. Okay, I'm thinking. Let me think about this. Let me think about this. There is absolutely no way I'm about to watch this at regular speed. I'm gonna lose my mind. First off, does my application... There's only one way we get around this. I don't like doing it this way, but it just simply may not be a choice. Just wait on my application to load here. Okay, yeah, see, that's what I thought. Okay. Well, how long is this? Oof. 4.5 hours. So this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're going to do. Looks like I'm not going to have a choice but to actually download this video. And the video is 4 hours long. So that also means we'll have to divert ourselves to something else real quick. Oh my god, bro, the struggle streaming is just like relentless. Let me open it up here. Well, this is cool because we could just look up some more about like the shooter real fast while we're at it. Hold on, I'm just looking to see if this works. If it works, it would be quite awesome. Okay, well, how the hell do you do it? Okay. Maybe this isn't gonna work. I think we're really just gonna have to just watch it as is. Oh my god, it's about to be crazy. Bro, there's no way for me to just... Hold on, can't I? Let me see something here. Ooh, hold on. Come on, application. Tell me you're gonna pull through for me. Okay, hell yeah. It's actually... Yep, and it's pulling through for me. Oh, cool. So I didn't even, let me uninstall this dumb stuff here. Cool. Okay. While that's going, because that's probably going to take for a 4 hour long video. Yeah, for a 4 hour long video, it's probably going to take probably like 15 minutes, even at decent speeds. It's not like it's downloading like 100 plus megs a second. So okay, well, I am going to pull up stuff about our shooter guy and see if there's anything new about him. Been a full day now, so we'll see. Well, this works perfectly for me because at least that way I can kind of get this stuff up and going here. So at least have that ready. All right. Didn't mean to do that. It's okay. Let me just go back here. All right. What's this guy's name? Was it Thomas Matthews Cook? While we're waiting on this video to be done. Oh, it's actually already 25%, so it actually won't take too long. So let's just see what they got going on here. And then also let me try this monster. I haven't had this juice monster. My favorite ones is the what is it, the local, is it local, not local roco, moco loco, something like that. The one with the like the little the Mexican skull artwork stuff. So I'm interested in how this one tastes. This one's a Pacific Punch flavor. That shit actually kind of good. Okay, that's really good. I gotta keep that on my radar for when I buy case, because I usually buy a case of the mango one, but that Pacific Punch hitting, that's like, it's like a better version of like of Hawaiian Punch, like one that doesn't taste like just like pure sugar. All right, let's go see what we got of this guy here. Let me start on X. I think X has always done a better job showing us what's going on with this guy. This is the funniest rewriting of history I've ever seen in my entire life. I sat there and talked to you and your 13-year-old son for like 20 minutes, and you had such negative opinion of me. You sat there like a silent little seething and said nothing. Oh wait, is this I wonder if this is the guy like he was talking to. Oh, followed by Long Beach Griffey. Amazing, like how the web of interconnective associations are. Okay, let's see. All right. Oh well. Let me all right. It's halfway, 66% done. So as soon as we have the physical video, we should be good to play it. Already, I can already see. Man, he really. Oh, what, Alex Jones thought it was the other guy? Of course he does. And why is he using that photo? He doesn't look nothing like that anymore. He's much older looking. That's crazy that he's still using that photo. This is like solid 6, 7 to 10 years ago. All right, let's scroll by and see. Oh my god, bro, the internet is so crazy, bro. How they pulling up this man's like entire like childhood life? high school photos. I was like, okay, I'll give it to you. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you can find those, like, especially like you go on someone's profile. But dog, like, got photos of this man in his classes. Oh my god, dude, this shit is crazy. Oh, so here's the conspiracy too. Look, BlackRock makes a promotional film, so it was an inside job, or it was a job by some big shadowy, multi-billion or $1 million corporation. Wouldn't they be the ones that would stand the most to gain from Trump coming back in the office? Now that I think about it, make it make sense. 99%, fellas. All right, so it looks like it just finished. It just finished. Let me go ahead and let me pulls up the video. I just gotta figure out where it saved it at. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, and that's actually not too big. How come it's 16 gigs for 4 hours? That's actually not too bad. I don't understand, like, whenever I make the stuff that it just, like, mine's just blow up like crazy. But all right, let's go ahead and throw it up. Yes. I hate doing this way because I always feel like icky downloading videos, but no choice in the matter, I suppose. Let me just get my screen back up real quick, and then I'll fast forward this. Hold on, go like that. I never got a chance to figure out how to get X to work, so sorry, X. You guys are just gonna be out on this one. I'm gonna spend this week like trying to fix all that stuff up. So if you ever see me streaming like during the week, just know that the next couple of ones are gonna be just trying to just get stuff actually fixed, because I got a whole bunch of stuff that just is not trying to work anymore. Okay, you're there. Cool. All right. Well, I can close this. Let's go. That's actually my next actual dilemma is going to be how to actually get this to stay on top. Playback. Hold on. Let me think about this. Anybody know how to like how to get like a video, how to get VLC, like when it's playing a video, to just stay on top? And when you click on, so if you click on something else, it doesn't just disappear. Like because if I start clicking my thing, obviously the video is gonna go away. All right, well, guess that's a Google. My God, man. Why does Kick not have a fast, like a play speed function? Am I just crazy? Let me just Google this real quick. Play Kick videos 1.5x speed. And why is Freestream like still spamming? Bro, I know I fixed this. Okay, now just bear with me. We're just trying to figure out how to get this damn video. Let's stay on top. Kick doesn't let you play videos at increased speed, and I'm gonna lose my mind if I try to listen to like 4 hours of whatever at a slow speed. So we're gonna most certainly have to figure that out. Okay, well, it's not gonna work. So keep VLC player on top. Excuse me.
Wouldn't it be crazy if you could create voiceovers?
Am I crazy? Why does that sound like that was like duplicated? I don't think I have anything though. All right.
This is going to be a video tutorial
Oh wait.
on how to
Why is that so loud too? But it's this guy. No, it wasn't. Damn, that shit's loud. All right.
set the
There
VCL
we go.
media player to where it's always on top. That means if you have a browser open or anything open, the VCL media player will always be on top of it. Let me jump over to the VCL media player here. Always on top. You want to click on that.
There's no way. Is it really just that? Was it really just that easy? That simple? I feel some type of way if that was. Jesus Christ. I feel some type of way. Oh, God. Okay. We're in business now, guys. Terrible. Well, okay. Now the next thing will be video speed. Playback. Speed. Faster. 1.5. Can I do like a finer tune now? 60. We'll probably try just 60 and just leave it there.
I think that people think that politics is either a way to generate ad revenue. What is it? This cat person? Oh, she's making a Twitter space. Okay. We might talk about this a little bit more later. I don't know how much we'll talk about it at all. There's really not much for me to say. I'm tired of getting gaslit for years. That I have to pretend that both sides of the political aisle right now are making coherent arguments, or they have the same moral authority to lead. The fact that like when I have to describe events to people in real life to make my case, I feel crazy because of how much conservatives have dictated all of the media cycles. I wrote shit down. It doesn't even matter. There's no point even going over it. I don't even care. Well, I do, but they don't. The people that support Donald Trump in this country have lost every conceivable tie that they have to calling themselves moral American citizens that would support this country. The road that the Republicans have taken us down and their support for an insurrectionist president leaves me with absolutely zero pity for anything that happens at any fucking event. The strongest form of an argument that I would even consider entertaining is maybe you shouldn't laugh at them if something happens, and you'd have to argue hard for that. But to express sympathy, you're way, way, way the fuck beyond that. I think that people think that politics.
This sounds like a man that is like fed up and done with with everything that's just been going on so far. That is crazy. I don't think I've seen clips like in the past couple of hours of just what's been flowing around about people saying or reacting to the things Destiny's been saying, and like it seems like to me Destiny is just kind of like fed up with it at this point of the juncture on trying to like bridge anything with the other side. This is interesting.
Politics is either a way to generate ad revenue or a way to have fun online. And if that's the case, then have fun and knock yourself out. But it's not a fucking game. And what we're supposed to have endured over the past 8 years when half of this country is rotted to the core is insane. So, no, I think that if you're a Trumple and you're asking for sympathy when something goes awry at one of your events, when you've been supporting a guy who is avowedly anti-democratic and who tried to insurrect the government, who has managed through party, legal, and extra-legal means to avoid culpability or responsibility at every single step of the way, that the party of rule and law is the one who wouldn't convict in the Senate because they said he wasn't a sitting president anymore, the guy who pardoned every single friend and ex-campaign member that he had, who the Supreme Court decided that they didn't actually like the 14th Amendment anymore, so they were going to toss that because it wasn't fair to Trump. The guy who is probably going to have all 4 of his cases tossed because of the Supreme Court ruling deciding that the president actually is immune from criminal probes. Miss me with that shit, fam. And miss Trump, less swing voters that way, I guess. I'm so
Oh my God.
I'm so far over dealing with the Trumples, who are the worst I think that America has to offer, trying to tone police or trying to beg for sympathy. Fuck the dude, the firefighter guy, fuck Trump, fuck the people that support him. I just want you to know, okay, just in case you're confused or it seems like I'm, whatever. If one of you were in the crowd and you're a conservative fan of mine and you end up, getting blown away, whatever the fuck, I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter. I am 100%. And if you tweet any shit about Putin or whatever, I'm gonna throw it up on the retweet. I'm gonna put you right on the picture next to Babbitt and Corey, and we're all gonna fucking make fun of you. And that's what should happen. Because fuck you, okay? Sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, fuck you. Okay? That's all I'm
Jesus
saying.
Christ.
We might go over it more later, but
That does sound crazy.
Trying to do a Twitter space. This person.
Oh, yeah, they were just
How about your
trying to
parents? They get their brains blown out of a rally, which are the
come
same attitude. They're democracy-hating insurrectionists after all. One, you permaban for asking a stupid question because the obvious answer two is, listen, they're adults. They make their own fucking decisions. If you want to support an insurrectionist president, then whatever comes of that is that's your consequences. Again, it's not a fucking joke. My mom is an immigrant to the United States of America. She was 5 years old. Her parents worked really hard to get her here. She served for 20 years in the Air Force, along with my dad. They know exactly what they're doing. They should know exactly what they're supporting. It was my mom that, ranted at me for over a decade about how evil the USSR and Putin and all the tricoms and all that shit. So whatever, they go to a rally and they whatever the fuck, it's less end-of-life cost for me to do it. It's on them. That's their decision. You think I'm gonna fucking lose sleep over that? No. We all have our own paths to walk in life. We all have our own decisions to make.
What is this music? Oh, that sounds horrible.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining the space. Destiny, I'm going to invite you as a speaker, so you just have... Okay, we can wait for a minute until he connects, and when he is connected, he can unmute himself and speak. Can you hear me now, Destiny?
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello, hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can everyone by show of hands, can you guys hear us okay? Just drop like a heart or a hello.
I'm muting them for a sec.
If you can
This is
hear
going to be
us
how
okay.
every single
Reactions
conservative debate
are
should go. If
that
you debate a
heart with the
conservative,
plus in the
this is
bottom
how
right-hand
every
corner.
single one should go
Okay,
until the
you want
election.
that's okay.
This is going to be a walkthrough
Um,
fight, okay?
So I just wanted to create this space because there was obviously a huge event happening yesterday, and as maybe some people saw, there's
Oh,
a lot of
God.
arguing going on about Trump and who he is and all that stuff. So I just wanted to chat with Destiny, hopefully respectfully, and just hear his thoughts about why he says the things that he does about Trump, and maybe share some of my own thoughts. Maybe he'll dance circles around me, maybe not, because he's a very skilled debater. I'm not a live streamer. He does this for a living. This is just a hobby of mine. So thanks, Destiny, for coming on and chatting. And yeah, where did you want to start?
Yeah, I guess firstly, wait, so what is your current political affiliation? Or like,
Well,
who do
I'm
you
in
like support or whatever? Like,
I'm in Canada. I'm actually in Canada. I don't know if you know that about me. I'm in Canada and I'm conservative.
in Canada and you're conservative. Okay, so I
Yeah.
can assume that you support Donald Trump or whatever?
Yeah, I think he did a good job when he was president. I don't think he, he's the monster that people make him out to be, or like the criminal that people make him out to be. I think, as brash as he is and some of the things that he says in a bombastic Trump way, I don't think he's as bad as the media tries really, really hard to portray him.
Okay. Do you acknowledge that
Yeah.
he led an insurrection against the U.S. government and he tried to steal power?
I don't think he did that. I don't see evidence of him saying he incited.
All right, well, we're already on a bad start. I can feel. Bro, the specific punch is so good. I can feel the kind of timing that Destiny is probably on now. So this is already starting to feel kind of crazy because he probably is not even gonna. I don't think he's gonna like dog walk. Is it dog walking? Is dog walking the correct term? Where you just lead people up to the thing. I think he's just gonna just straight hammer her. Is what it
Yeah,
sounds
I
like.
think
Is he's
watched
setting
him
it up
call
for.
for peace on video. I saw the tweet that he put out saying we want peace. We're the party of law and order. Like I don't think that you can ascribe insurrection to those words.
Are you aware that Donald Trump organized 7 different sets of people to fake an elector vote in 7 different states in the United States with the goal of sending those elector votes to Congress and then begging and then pressuring Mike Pence, first with words and then with violence that he directed on the 6th, in order for him to unilaterally toss the election by either selecting those electorate votes, the fake ones that he submitted, or by having the House choose Donald Trump to be the president against the will of the American people? Are you aware of any of that?
I haven't seen him using any kind of threats of violence against Mike
Excuse me.
Pence.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. I didn't say anything about a threat of violence. I don't know who you're talking to or what you're responding to. I just asked you very specifically for the thing that I just laid out. Are you aware of any of that? Do you know any of that?
I believe you said something about violence.
Okay. Let me restate. Okay.
Okay.
Donald
All
Trump organized 7 different sets of people, okay, in 7 different states to send in fake votes, okay, to Congress essentially, in order to pressure Mike Pence, okay. First it was
Okay,
words.
pressure Mike Pence. Okay.
Well, first it was with words. He begged him to do it behind the scenes multiple times, and Pence said no because he's not a traitor to the fucking country. And then the second time is he called his crowd of people that he gathered on the 6th and then sent them to the Capitol grounds to protest, with the goal of getting Pence to choose the fake electorate votes that he sent in to Congress. Are you aware of any of that?
What is the evidence for that, though?
It's laid out in the indictments, and nobody denies any of it.
I was gonna say, like, it's definitely okay. So I was right? So this is definitely somebody that doesn't. Oh my God, she's in Canada. Like it, I read the indictments. Like I didn't read it in full detail, but I definitely like went through the most juicy parts, and that part where like he actually, I don't understand why this isn't like covered so much more in the media, because of all the different things for the allegations of insurrection, stuff like that you could sit there, you could kind of whitewash or whatever, like of every single thing this man did, though I think that one incident of the fake elector scheme is the most damning thing Trump has did while he was president. That fake elector scheme where he would sit there, so as a quick crash course, right? So that people understand kind of like the electoral process, right? You essentially have two separate votes, right? You have what the people vote and then what the electoral college vote, right? And they're supposed to, like, you know, be in sync somewhat, but there's cases where that's not the case or whatever, and you know, that comes with a lot of like what they call it, like gerrymandering, voodoo and whatnot, and districts and all this other stuff. But essentially, right, you have two separate things, right? And the thing that matters the most is the actual electoral college, right? Because wasn't it in Bush? Wasn't it in Hillary Clinton, right? Both instances where the person got more of the regular people vote, right? The popular vote, but lost the electoral college vote, right? So like it's definitely like a no-brainer that these things sometimes don't actually pan out even though the person gets more votes, right? Okay, cool. Now, for the electoral college scheme that Trump did is that for a particular, I think, what was it, Georgia? I want to say it was Georgia. Should have been, was it Georgia? It should have been Georgia. I want to get the actual state right he did it in real quick, because I don't remember which state he actually did it against. It might have been multiple ones, right? Fake elector scheme states. Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Nevada, New Mexico, and Wisconsin plan to send some of the fake electors to represent their parties. Okay, yeah. So, well, hold on. In 2024, I was gonna say, like, that's not. Why am I getting a 2024 date? This was 2020. Oh wait, are they trying to spin up another round of those electors? I mean, I guess it would make sense, right? You got presidential immunity now, and I think somebody was saying something that like the fake electors didn't technically violate like some criminal statute in one of the states. So I guess it's just free up for grabs. Like, hey, let's just swap out these votes for this other set of votes, and then we're good, right? We ain't got to worry about the law. Trump, you know, especially shit. If Trump wins, we definitely ain't got to worry about it. That's crazy. But hold on, I want the 2020 scheme. Let me see. Indicted. Okay, so it was these states. So Nevada, New Mexico, Pennsylvania. Yeah. Let me see. The alternate electors were rewarded to contain language indicating that they would only hold legitimacy if Trump prevailed in courts. Efforts to, wow, that's crazy. Okay, so probably not that one. Probably not the Pennsylvania one. Wisconsin, one of the 10 fake electors was this person, a member of 6 person Wisconsin Elections Commission. Spindle was appointed by the commission, blah, blah, blah. A civil lawsuit filed against Wisconsin's 10 fake electors and 2 attorneys who collaborated with them. After more than a year of discovery and filings, the 10 fake electors, including Spindle, agreed to a partial settlement of the case in December 2023. They acknowledged that their actions were part of an attempt to improperly overturn the 2020 presidential election results. What I'm looking for is I want to know, like, what was the ones that, because that one sounds like somebody else probably took it upon themselves to try and do it. I'm looking for the one that Trump actually, I didn't know it was this many states actually had fake elector scheme. Because I was only going by the indictment, and I only recall one state that he actually tried to indict. Was it Arizona? I think it was Arizona, wasn't it? In Arizona, the fake electors met at the state Republican Party headquarters. The Arizona falsified electoral documents were produced and sent by a group that complained to represent the sovereign citizens of the great state of Arizona. Made in Arizona had a face smile of the state seal. Sheesh. Signed the certificates and issued a press release. Damn, that's crazy. I'm going to have to... Damn, do I really have to sit there and just pull up the indictment? I might have to just go pull up the indictment. One email informed many of the president's supervisors that naming Trump fake electors in Michigan was not possible due to the state capitol building being closed. Blah, blah, blah. Many emails went to Epstein. Epstein. That's a real name, really close to Epstein, a close Trump advisor who was acting blah 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 for Trump. The Trump campaign coordinated. Here we go. The Trump campaign coordinated setting the alternate elector certificates to Pence by January 6th in time for the congressional certification of electors. All right. I want to know. Okay, here we go. Concluded that Rudy Giuliani and Mark Meadows were involved in the early stages of the plan, as was Donald Trump, who asked on December 7 and December 8 for research into whether a fake elector scheme would be possible. Yes. So yes, he was the one that was actually employing all this. And basically what he was doing is that once the electors in whatever state decide on the candidate that they're going to like actually like put the vote towards, right? So in this case, right, we'll just use an example like Arizona, right? So like, let's say, just to keep it simple, right? Arizona has 10 electors. Let's say they have 10 electors and they send it to, send it to the actual process so that those electoral votes can be counted, right? So it's a certificate. They get sent in the Congress, right? Congress counts them, right? And then there you go. We get our numbers for like how many electorals whoever candidate has, right? Trump and his people was like, okay, well, let's see if we can find any conceivable way to actually replace those electors with people that we want so that they can put in fake votes. This is the most clear-cut scheme of fake voting. Like, you want to talk about voter fraud? This is why it just blows my mind and more people don't notice. This is the most crystal clear voting fraud attempt I have ever heard or seen ever. Like, I have never seen anything like this, where you just sit there and you actually try to replace the people to go ahead and push your votes, push your certificates that are falsely made, because it's not as all the court cases that were going on were showing, right? This is not officially from the state, right? Arizona sent the votes for Biden. Trump tried to get people, try to replace those people so that they can actually put in votes for Trump in that process. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Like, it's just, and it blows my mind that the media is not covering it. And then that's why, like, to me, like, the media is like a real massive problem, because they don't sit there and they don't cover or push some of like the most like damning things, the most important things that people should know about. A lot more people should know about the fake elector scheme. The fake elector scheme, right? Because of all this like gymnastics people play with doing what's the word, right? The illegal immigrant voting and fake votes and all this stuff like that. And then you have black and white clear evidence of what this would be like actual voter fraud right in front of you, and nobody wants to talk about it. Crazy. Like, the fake voter elector scheme is just wild to me. I can't believe more people don't know about it.
If you want, you can go to YouTube, and if you want, I'll wait 5 minutes right now for you. You can go on YouTube and you could go, false electorates try to enter Capitol. And there are videos that will pop up. The first one says, Republicans try to deliver their own electoral votes to Michigan Capitol. There are people that are being charged in multiple states right now for perjuring themselves, saying that they were the duly elected, appointed representatives of their state to cast their electoral vote. Nobody denies this. Nobody denies this. Okay? So you're not aware of any of this.
I haven't heard of that story, no.
That's another way of saying you're not aware of any of this. So, okay, so step one, okay, let's assume that what I just said is true, because nobody's denying it, and Trump's defense against this is to ask for criminal immunity. You're aware of that, right? That Donald Trump's way of defending himself was to go before the Supreme Court and say, I need to be immune from criminal prosecution. Are you aware of that?
Well, I wasn't following it that closely, so no.
Okay, well, are you aware that Donald Trump, his attorney, went before the Supreme Court and was granted criminal immunity for the first time in all of U.S. history for an ex-president, that now the office of the presidency enjoys absolute criminal immunity and presumptive criminal immunity for basically every action a president can take? Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Okay, how many videos have you seen of Joe Biden stumbling down some stairs, or having slurs, or forgetting words in his speech?
Well, they are floating around. I've seen some of those.
Yep. Do you understand that this is a problem? That you have absolutely no fucking idea what's going on in my country, what's going on in my... Let me finish, please, and you can go as long as you want. Sure. You don't know what's happened in my country. You don't know what's happened with my government. You don't know any of the things that Donald Trump has been involved in. But I bet if I go through your Twitter, I can find 50 million videos of Joe Biden with his stupid fucking open mouth or slurring some word. Do you think that's an issue?
Well, I think the president being fit is an issue, yeah, for sure.
What about being an insurrectionist?
I don't believe he's an insurrectionist.
Oh, what did I just lay out then that either doesn't qualify for insurrection or isn't true from what I just said? Or if you want, you can admit that you have no idea what I'm talking about. And you need to go back to the drawing board.
Oh
before
my
you didn't
God.
have an opinion on this topic.
Okay, yep. So it's a really good job sitting there just laying out just the foundation on just like what is she even aware of, and just the fact that she just like the fact that she even sat there and said that being fit is a problem, but then but then in that same breath says that she doesn't know anything about about any of the things that Trump is alleged to have done is just wild to me, right? Because then the next thing is going to come out, I'm pretty sure, right? And then she's going to sit there and she's going to start talking about how unfair he's being treated and all this other stuff, right? And she's going to say that even though acknowledging that she doesn't know probably 80% of the stuff that he has done that probably gets him that kind of treatment, but we'll see.
Well, I can have an opinion because free speech exists, so I can say what I want to say.
First
you
of
know,
all,
you
no.
know,
Number one, no. You're a Canadian. You have no guarantee of free speech. Number two, that's obviously not what I meant. You obviously are entitled to an opinion. I'm saying that was a shorthand for to have a well-formed opinion
just
that merits
happened?
consideration. Right? You're not even aware of any of the major events happening in this country. I don't know how you can have a strong opinion on whether or not Donald Trump is an insurrectionist or
What
not.
just happened?
Well, I see what the media says about the current events, and I see the media pushing and saying things like, to serve his country, President Biden should drone strike Donald Trump. And to me, that seems like not very appropriate thing to say for as an advice for the current sitting president. And that doesn't seem like a strong uphold of democracy or decency, as they would say, because they said decency was on the ballot.
If Rachel Maddow told you that walking on sidewalks was dangerous, would you walk in the street?
No.
Then why are you citing me something that the media said and then giving me your 4-year? You have children? Do you react to everything like a child? If the media says something you don't like it, do you just take the opposite position without giving a single original thought yourself into what you're actually being told? Or is your entire ideology defined by reactionism?
No,
Personally, I never really liked it. I don't understand why people grab on to they always find the most craziest statements to just grab onto and see, this is clearly not helping the country and is promoting violence and stuff like that. And there's always just some random just statement that somebody that one person, 4 people, whoever says, and is supposed to, as if that's supposed to absolve them of everything, of everything the other side our side has ever said, that also promotes violence. I can't tell you, because I was just saying it in my stream the other day, right? I can't tell you how many times the rhetoric about civil war this, civil war that just keeps just crops up, right? in the everyday language, of the party right now. It's so bad.
No, I'm not ideologically possessed. I agree with certain things that sometimes the liberals say, and I can disagree with certain things that conservatives do.
Okay.
It's not.
That's
it's not like it's not like I watch state Canadian media and take the opposite stance of everything they say, because twice a day a broken clock is right. So
Cool.
it's not.
Okay,
an issue
so then
for me.
I think we can, going back to the insurrection thing, if every part of what I laid out was true, if Donald Trump slated false electors in states, had that sent to Congress, and knowingly gathered a crowd of 50,000 whatever people, and then sent them to the Capitol building in the hopes that they would protest to pressure the fake electors being chosen, do you think any of that qualifies as an insurrection?
Would I have to be an expert in insurrection law to state that one way or another?
But you don't have to be you don't have.
Oh my God. I can't believe she's listening. I have to be an why? Why even try to sit there and try to weasel your way out of that? I have to be an expert in insurrection law to even be able to make that determination. So how are you how are you so confidently saying then that's not the case, right? And I think that's probably what he's even about to say too. Let me see.
An expert in insurrection law to say confidently that it wasn't?
Yeah, see, how can you sit there and say that if you sit there and you make an argument that you don't know enough details, or you don't know this or you don't know that, but then you're sitting there with absolute confidence saying that something is not, saying that the opposite of that thing is true. To me, that's just that's just buffoonery is what it is. That's just straight buffoonery for sure.
Well, perhaps you're right about that, but like I said, I refer to his actual words that he put out on social media and on video, saying that he's requesting for peace.
You understand
And
that came after he was begged for hours, while he and his crony, corrupt fuck Giuliani made phone calls to sitting congressmen inside of the lockdown building, right? That he was calling them, pressuring them to delay the certification of the vote. It was hours after that he finally went on Twitter when the insurrection had failed and said, "Okay, guys, we need to go home."
Well, like I said, I wasn't following it 24/7.
Then why do you have an opinion on it? You weren't following 24/7. You were following 0-0. You have no idea what happened on any of this. Why do you think you should have an opinion on any of this?
Well, I told you I can have an opinion if I want.
You can, but
Yeah.
but then people should make fun of you and bully the fuck out of you for it, right? You have literally no idea about any of this. It wasn't that what our original tweet was over. Is that I think I didn't call you a hack fuck. It seems like I was correct, right? You have absolutely no idea about literally
Well,
any
no.
of these issues.
Yes, okay. Maybe I haven't followed the case as closely as you have.
Hold
but
on, not
I-
closely. You don't even have any idea. You have no concept. You don't know anything about what I'm talking. You don't even know what an electoral vote is, do you?
Jesus Christ, he is he is sitting there just eviscerating this girl. My God. He is like really like he is really giving her the business. I feel kind of bad almost. I feel almost kind of bad, but like the niceties, the nicety thing that people try to hide behind when they sit there and they're like, oh, I'm just, I'm trying to be respectful and I can have an opinion and, I sit there and argue with you without actually knowing anything about what it is I'm trying to argue, right? It's just crazy.
Of course I do. Of course I do. It's what the United States has for their electoral process. We have a similar process here in Canada. It's not majority vote. It's not democracy. It's a constitutional republic.
Okay, if you know what an electoral vote is, do you think it's acceptable for people to try to fake them, like Donald Trump did in 7 different states?
Well, like I said, what is the evidence that he faked those? What is your evidence for that?
Oh, so it's
What would
7
you want
different
to see?
states.
What if I could show you
Jeez.
hypothetically 7 different certifications filled out with false electors? I can send you a YouTube video of these people literally gathering outside in Michigan in the courthouse. Hold on, here's a YouTube video for that. I can go on Obsidian and I can find you the maybe there's a quick link to the like they have photographs of all of the of all the fake things that they filled out, pretending that they were the.
careful,
They also have
actually.
photographs
I'm
and
gonna
video
run out
of
of
people
copper if I don't-
stuffing ballots and bringing out bags and security footage from places where people are voting, and they were putting up tarps over the windows. And
Are you
they
aware?
were-
Are you aware that every single one of those was investigated, and that every single one of those was heard before court, and that every single one of these except for one was shot down? A lot of them by conservative judges that Trump himself, or at least his administration, appointed.
well, like I said, I wasn't following this case 24/7, so no, I wasn't following the procedures that came out of that.
Okay, but you've seen pictures of it, right? Are you embarrassed or ashamed that you've had like strong opinions about this because of pictures that you've seen, because of dipshits like Elon Musk feeding you lies on Twitter?
Destiny, you don't have to be that rude. I'm being really respectful.
Hold on,
I'm
no,
not sure
wait,
why
wait,
you're
hold on. I need you to understand something so much, okay? You're not being respectful. You're actually fucking evil, okay? This idea that you can walk
don't
around
believe
and as
you.
long as that's great, I don't care. The idea that you can walk around and as long as you say the worst type of shit imaginable in a nice enough voice that you should be treated with respect is absurd, right? In no other function in life would anybody ever be treated that way. You have no concept of anything related to the insurrection. You have no concept of what's even happened aside from what you've seen, I guess, on Twitter and the media. But you're out here tweeting along with every other insurrectionist supporting fuckhead in my country about how Donald Trump is treated unfairly in the media and Joe Biden isn't fit to be president. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about for any of this, though.
Hey, do you think it's okay for Joe Biden voters to, make like a life-sized version of Trump and like put a fake guillotine over him, or to hold up bloody severed heads of him and things like that? Do you think that can?
Oh my God. Why? So okay. Is that just like common across like everybody that just sits there like that don't know like what they're talking about? They'll just sit there and so the buttons I press a change. Okay, hold on, pause before you burn up my clock. Okay, so now I figured out why. Oh great. But I'm not gonna know how to fix it. I'm definitely not gonna know how to fix it. Oh well, we're listening to it more than we're actually watching it, so it's fine. Hell, look, we got more real estate anyway. But is that just the case that when people just don't know what they're talking about and stuff, like they'll just sit there and they'll just start grabbing on to like just random, just what about this? What do you call it? What-isms? Is that the correct term for it? Right? What-isms? Like, cause to me that's crazy. Like, why is she using that example about like people making the Trump, like what, the Trump guillotine or stuff like that, and like they literally had like an actual was it the things to like the hang people on outside of the Capitol for Mike Pence, because Mike Pence wouldn't do what Trump wanted him to do. Like, to me that's kind of crazy. I ain't gonna lie to you, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy you sit there and you try to make that argument like hold on, I think I'm about to
Contributes to anything that's happening in the states?
Nope.
Might
I
be
think
ready
that,
to run
the
out
first
of
question, I would say,
copper.
no, that's not acceptable.
I hope I don't run out of copper.
Were Democrats or protesters doing that outside of the Capitol building, except instead of the guillotine of Trump, were they talking about Mike Pence? And were they doing that because the president of the United States said that they needed to pressure Mike Pence, and that when Mike Pence wasn't accepting the pressure, he tweeted out that Pence has failed us? Did that happen? Do you remember any of that, or is that another thing that's conveniently mind-wiped from your brain?
I saw that tweet. So I saw that. You don't have to insult me. Like, there's no need for that. I saw that tweet, and I saw some people calling for Mike Pence for whatever they were calling for him.
To be clear,
I
hold on,
don't
just to be
think
clear, they
that-
were calling for his assassination because he wasn't willing to finish the insurrection, to finish the coup that Donald Trump and Eastman had set up for him.
Okay,
Just to be clear,
well,
yeah.
I don't believe that a few crazies represent the majority.
They do.
So
But they do.
it-
Why would you say that? The
I don't
president
think
called them
so.
there in a speech. He gave them exactly the words that they needed. He said that Mike Pence is the one who needs to toss basically the election for us. He's the only one that we can rely on. He told them that we need to make sure that our electorate slates are counted. And then he sent them to the Capitol building to pressure the people there to do whatever it is that they were supposed to do, which was to steal the election.
But did he tell them to call for his assassination? Did he incite them to do that? Is that what you're
Did he
saying?
incite them? Yes, he laid out
say
every
those
single.
words.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, ma'am. So he needs to say the exact words. You need to go assassinate someone for him to be culpable. In that case, you would agree then that there is not a single Democrat in leadership that you would hold responsible for any amount of violence, right? Unless, are you going to show me? Are you going to show me some kind of tweet or video of a Democrat saying we need to kill conservatives? Have you seen a single one of those?
I've seen some crazy statements coming from Democrats.
I didn't ask for crazy
either-
statements. I asked were there explicit calls for violence where they said we need to go kill conservatives?
Okay, so like I don't have a photographic memory. I believe I've seen similar things. Maybe not by elected Democrats, but Democrat voters.
Oh, wait,
saying
excuse me,
that they need
Democrat
to-
voters? What does that have to do with anything? I was talking about the President of the United States, and now you're going to appeal to an average, everyday citizen like they have the same level of moral responsibility
Okay,
or
but
political
Trump
culpability?
But Trump did not call for his followers to go and do something insanely violent.
Yes, he did.
That's
He
what-
called for them to go march to the Capitol grounds and to protest the certification of the vote in the United States of America to prevent the peaceful transfer of power, which is what they did for some number of hours.
A protest is a legal proceeding. You can protest peacefully.
Did they
unlike-
protest peacefully?
I believe they did.
Really? How did the ones get inside the building?
I saw a guy. I watched a guy saying we need to go into the Capitol, and people were around him saying no, we do not need to do that. There was law enforcement nearby. They were saying, this is what these crazies are saying. You need to do something. Why aren't you doing anything? I saw windows.
How did
being
they get into the building?
smashed. Well, from video footage, it shows them just walking in. As
Hold on,
security
excuse me.
guards
Do you
start.
think that the first people that got into the Capitol, do you think they just walked in?
Well, did you see them just walk in?
No, they didn't because I actually watched the videos, ma'am.
Oh no. We was just looking at this yesterday. Cause there was somebody in my chat that was sitting there saying that, oh yeah, you know, they don't care about the January 6th thing after they saw the video of the people being let in. And I was just like, oh yeah, I know what video you're talking about. Let's go find it, right? And I'm sitting there, I'm trying to find a video because I know what video he's talking about. Not only could I not find the video, I know it exists. I seen it. I just, like, for the life of me, I just couldn't find it. Every other video we was sitting there pulling up was not these people just being let in. You know, sounds like, hold on. And the whole time I just kept saying, like, man, isn't this crazy that you know, somebody, you know, there's somebody that let them in, but they're not using the door that they're apparently being let in, right? Why are they sitting there breaking down these windows or these doors or pushing these cops or breaking this other stuff? Like, it was just like, to me, like, it's just crazy. Like, I don't understand why. This is a serious problem. This is a serious problem that, like, we have to figure out some way to address. When people can sit there and believe something that is not true, that is plainly not true, just by looking at it, right? Anybody that sits there and tells you that January 6th was actually peaceful and then people are lying about you know the characterization of that protest, like, to me, that is a very serious problem. To me, that'd be a very serious problem. This is one thing to sit there, like, you know, have your own, like, political beliefs and stuff, and then sit there and try to stretch stuff to, like, to fit your narrative or whatever. But when you sit there and you outright lie, right, or you believe something that just outright is not true, to me is crazy. So, like, to me, like, Tucker Carlson is, like, just a filth of a human being. Like, I'll sit there and I'll say that, like, with 1,000%. I'll stand 1,000% on that. Cause, like, to sit there, like, the only show, like, selective videos of just, like, of the people being let in. So just to be clear, right, I want you to just put yourself in a guard shoe. And if you are, as a matter of fact, I want you to just think about this, right? If you are a guard, right? If you're a police officer, if you are charged in any position where you have to secure an area, okay? And thousands of people show up and make their way in, are you going to sit there and try to apprehend one person? Even if they start breaking stuff, are you really about to sit there and try to do anything? When that one or two person, whoever it is, came with, like, a ginormous group. No, the moment you put you inherently know, the moment I try to put my hands on this person, right, I'm gonna get my ass beat. Like, that's just that's just common sense. So, like, when the guard was just sitting there, just walking around with them, just sitting there, just monitoring them, like, that made perfect sense to me, right? He's outnumbered. He's not about to sit there. I'm not about to sit there and do anything. If I'm in that exact situation, right, the areas where we got the actual congressman is actually secured. We got people with guns over there, right, and they got the doors locked over there. All right, cool. I'ma just sit here. I'ma watch what everybody's doing, walking around, try to get them to, like, just not get close enough, close over there. And if they just start making their way over there, oh well, right? I'ma keep telling them no and try to, like, do my actual job. But I'm not about to sit there and stop them. Stop them for what? Like, how? How you about to stop 1,000 people? How you about to stop 10 people, right? That want to get to like whatever area they're trying to get to, and it's just you. Like, get the hell out of here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so crazy to me that they're gonna watch a video of that situation there and say, oh yeah, so clearly, like, you know, it was a tour, people be let in and whatever. Like, Get out of here. This is
Have you seen any of
stupid.
them? Have you seen any footage that doesn't come from Tim Pool, Elon Musk, Steven Crowder, The Daily Wire, Tucker Carlson? Have you watched any original
Yes,
reporting on this whatsoever,
yes,
or have you
I've-
literally exclusively watched whatever conservative shit down your throat?
No. Okay.
So then let me ask, hold on, real
Look,
clearly,
it's-
real
one
clearly,
second,
how
can I
did
respond?
the first people get into the Capitol building?
Can I respond?
Sure.
Would you consider CNN original content or like?
I'm
what
just
do
curious if you
mean
watched
by
any
original
non-right-wing,
content?
like any actual reporting on it, not like a pundit.
Do you consider CNN?
CNN is a news network. There are pundits that are on CNN, just like Fox News is a news network, and there are pundits that are on Fox News. There's reporting, which is when people do reports. Usually there are cameras involved, and then there are pundits. So people like Tucker Carlson or Anderson Cooper would be a pundit.
Yes, I understand what you mean. Okay, I was just trying to clarify. So you're telling me that there's video that exists of people violently approaching the building and breaking their way in? Is that what you're saying?
You can't honestly be seriously asking me that question. Are you not aware that it is uncontested that the first people that went into the building broke in? Are you telling me right now that you don't believe that to be the case?
Well, I'm just asking you if there's footage of it that exists.
There is
That's what I'm
plenty of
asking.
footage, yes. And now I'm asking you, are you under the impression that the first people that got into the Capitol building that they walked in?
From what I've seen, there was security guards standing. People were walking in, and I even recall. I hope this is accurate. I even recall him saying, "I don't agree with this," but he was just letting them walk in. So
Isn't that what I just said? Isn't that what I just said? I literally just laid it out. I just laid out the exact scenario in which that would make perfect sense. I literally just laid out the exact scenario. Don't they have like think I want you to let's keep it simple. Think of like a museum, right? You know, they got like museum guards that try to sit there and protect natural artwork and stuff like that, right? If 100 people show up at the museum and it's just you, I'ma call, they could call, right? Let, police, whatever and stuff like that. He's not about to sit there and try to get in between 100 people that's going to sit there and want to like fuck up the museum. Like, no, absolutely not, right? So, it's just crazy. And if anything, if he thinks he could probably like get them to just like the be chill or whatever and just walk them around, like that. 100% an actual like real scenario to think about. Like, I don't understand like why they latch onto that video as if like it's damning evidence that it wasn't a violent insurrection.
His name was Ray Epps. I think he was standing and shouting, saying, "We need to go into the Capitol," and people around him.
Oh
were
God, is he pulling up the video?
Nope, you're not true. That's
No,
not
no,
true.
we
You're
don't.
lying and you didn't see that, okay? You saw that the night
Yes.
before. No, because I'm sorry. I watched all of these videos with Ray Epps. It's one of the favorite of you conservatards, okay, to try to blame everything on him, all right?
Well,
Which is
there's no need
also...
to insult, like,
no, there
you
is.
don't
You
have to
need to be.
insult
You
me.
needed to be bullied so much more in life, okay? Jesus fucking Christ, okay? The
you
videos
don't
of Ray
know
Epps
anything about
calling...
my life.
I
Why
know
do
enough
you-
about you. I know enough about you to know that your opinion is worthless and that you are one of the strongest arguments for why there should be an IQ limit to actually get onto social media and post opinions about politics.
Is that how free speech works, Destiny?
No, unfortunately, I guess not.
Like, are you for free speech?
Generally. Good thing we're on a
Okay,
social
cool.
media platform that's privately owned right now, so freedom of speech isn't really a topic for discussion here. What do you think free speech means in the United States, by the way? Do you think that means that corporations have to host every single thing that's said on them?
Well, I view the space that we're currently on, Twitter, as a town digital square. So I believe free speech should apply on this platform because no one stands in the town square anymore. It's kind of an outdated concept. So
Okay,
this
and if
is
I
what's
declare
fun.
your basement the town square, can me and my friends go hang out there and like have some drinks? Why would I care what your individual determination is for some particular space online? You realize that's totally irrelevant to anything that exists in law or the Constitution, right?
Okay, so how do you see free speech then? So you see that this platform is
I have
free
absolutely
speech
no
does not
desire.
apply
I have
here?
no desire to discuss this topic with you. Maybe for another time. But
Okay.
you're unaware then? Because I can start linking you like for all the violent videos that you saw of people that were breaking in or of people that were fighting cops or whatever. Where do you think that came from? Do you think it was like just lifted from Baltimore and they said it was the Capitol building, or?
Like there was a crowd of people in front of the White House. So what do you mean like lifted from Baltimore? I don't understand what you mean.
For the
Can you
people that were
explain
breaking in, how do you think?
Yeah, I saw
why were they
windows being
breaking in?
broken. I saw windows being broken, and I saw people saying, "What are you doing?" And then I saw law enforcement being around and not doing anything about it. And I presume the law enforcement that's there on the grounds of this official building, should have done something about it, but they didn't, and that was confusing. And so, and the majority of the people were there, as you said, protesting under allegedly Trump directing them there to.
There is no way she's sitting there, she's making the statements with the amount of video that's actually available to actually just go look at. There is no. Does Canada have like a firewall? I don't think I've heard of Canada having a firewall. There's no way, right? Bro, there's no way she's saying something like that right now. There's no way. There's no way.
Go and protest and be violent and whatever it is that you said. Like I think they were opposing the actions
Why do you
that were
think?
happening.
Why do you think the cops
Pardon?
didn't stop them?
I don't know. Why wouldn't they stop them?
Because there weren't enough of them. Because nobody knew that Donald Trump was going to invite and send his whole crowd of insurrectionists to the Capitol building to try to delay the certification of the vote.
Well, why wasn't there enough? Like, if people thought that he was so bad, why wouldn't they bring reinforcements?
It's not really relevant to the question
Why not?
because it's not
It-
relevant.
like,
It
for
doesn't-
I mean, not only that, but like, who would have thought? Like, who would have thought that a sitting president would sit there and like try to get people to go storm a Capitol building? You know what I'm saying? Like that to me is like crazy. I'm trying to. There we go. Okay, so it's just screwing with the aspect ratio. That's what the problem was. Did it? Yeah. Hold on.
It doesn't contradict any of the underlying facts.
For example, people like Pelosi and all.
No,
all
I'm
the
sorry.
Democrats.
Excuse me. No, Pelosi has nothing to do with this. If your strongest counter argument is, well, maybe Pelosi should have called for more guards to fight against Trump's insurrectionists, I mean, like, what the fuck kind of argument are you even making there? Like,
I don't think he called for insurrectionists again, but if
What was he
if
calling
all
people?
the-
What were they
if-
going
okay,
to protest?
Can I just finish the thought?
Yeah, go for it.
Can I just finish the thought? So, like, if these people who were saying Trump is literally Hitler and he's the devil and he needs to be taken out or whatever it is that they said, like, if that was their belief about him and they kept saying, Hillary said he's an illegitimate president and all these things, wouldn't like their first instinct, like they said he's a threat to democracy, he's a dictator, he's this, he's not, wouldn't their like instinct be to, on the day where they would, they thought that he would do something crazy to, make sure
That makes no sense. First, well, I already said it earlier, right? Like, first off, like, nobody in any sensitive imagination would have thought that Trump would guide people to do what they did on January 6th, right? That's just the first thing, okay? And that's why you get the thing, he said to peacefully protest and everything like that. So, like, even if people truly believe that, then why would you even then you can't even make this kind of argument to even begin with, right? Because if he's sitting there and saying that, like, the peacefully protests, right? So then there's no expectation then, right, that January 6th was going to happen, right? It's just people that was going to peacefully protest. So, like, where's the assumption supposed to come from that there's about to be a massive scale attack on one of the fundamental pillars of U.S. democracy on that day? Like to me, that arguing that is kind of crazy. Arguing that is really kind of crazy. That's the first thing. And then the second thing, like she's like, notice how, like, she's charging all of the rhetoric was saying, like, Hillary said he's an illegitimate president. People saying he's a threat to democracy. This, and this, right? Notice, like, with the kind of, like, perceptual game that she's gonna sit there and she's gonna try to play. I'm waiting for her to actually sit there and make a concrete statement on what exactly it is that she's going to sit there and tie that to, because she's probably what I've seen a lot of people sit there and try to tie that kind of, like, rhetoric to is that, that's the reason why Trump was attacked, right? Because they're sitting there and they're saying that he's like Hitler and this and that and whatnot, right? Mind you, don't mind the fact that they sit there and they kept, like, doing these things that Hillary Clinton, like, they're, like, skinning children at the bottom of some, like, pizzeria somewhere and all this other stuff, right? Or the guy, right? The guy that attacked Nancy Pelosi's husband, right? Because he was looking for Nancy Pelosi at her house. It's just it's so
sure there was
crazy.
enough guards to make sure there was enough people to stop some of the.
Yeah,
some of the
when Hillary said that Trump
things
was an
that went
illegitimate
down.
president, what was she referring to? You
What
don't even
she
know.
said-
Do you even know
Yep,
what
yep.
speech it came from or what she was talking about? Yeah.
She was talking about Trump, and she was saying he knows he's an illegitimate president. Like, that sounds like election denial to me.
Okay. Well, it's not. You should go look up the context of, like, some of these speeches rather than just going by the tweets that you see that are showing.
Okay, so
I don't recall exactly, like, the context of what she was saying that under, but if I had to guess, it had to be because of just of the actual, like, Russia interference that was being alleged at the time. And that, to me, would probably be why she would sit there and she probably made that statement. If I had to guess, right? That's probably what it is. But and then the crazy thing is that, I'm sorry, guys, but we got the Mueller indictment, right? Plenty of people got charged. Plenty of people got charged for their for what it was they were for what it was they were doing on behalf of the Russian government. So sorry. That the Russia collusion thing does hold water.
okay, so help me understand.
No,
so
I
she
don't.
said-
Well, wait, no, hold. What I want to help you understand first is I want you to watch this, and I just want you to talk through with this. I want you to talk me through this, okay? Like, go to 15:30 and tell me what are we watching? What's happening here?
What do you mean? Like, you sent the link? You want me to go open a link?
Yeah.
Send
Are you
the
on a computer or a phone right now?
link? I'm on both.
Okay. I want you to open this up and we'll just go to 15:30. And I just want to watch a little bit. I just want to watch together. I just want to see. I want you to give me your take on what's actually happening in this video. So do the cops look like they're leading them in here? Would you have that impression
No,
as you're watching
certainly
it?
don't.
Oh,
No,
okay.
They
Gotcha.
don't
Okay.
look like they're leading him here at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Like, I can acknowledge when I haven't seen some footage before. I'm not like I said, I'm not ideologically possessed to excuse anything and everything. Like, I
The
can
fact
admit-
that you haven't seen this means that you are so ideologically brainwashed. You're like in another
No,
dimension.
I
Yes,
don't think
yes,
so.
you absolutely are. I'm sorry. Do these guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the fact that you there's so much, like, if for you to take such a strong position on something like that, and then and to have not done any research to try to validate the things that you believe to be the case, to me is crazy. You know what I truly think is probably, I'm starting to think that these people are paid actors. That's going to be my conspiracy right there. If there's going to be an actual conspiracy that might hold some water, it's that these people are paid actors. They got to be paid actors, right? Because there's no way you can sit there and you could be comfortable with like having like the strong positions that you have, and you didn't do any form of research whatsoever on the other side of your argument to make sure that what you believe and what you're thinking is actually legitimate and is going to hold water. That's what's like so like just wild and crazy to me. Oh yeah, this got flying enemies, so I'm going to have to, I'm glad I thought about that for a second. Jeez, hold on. Damn, son, let me think about this now. So it's killing me. It's really killing me that she really has not done any, what do they call it, like counter or like devil advocate research kind of training, like training. That's kind of why I said training, but let's just keep going.
The guy with the baton that's hitting the people, do you think that he's letting them in peacefully?
Oh, clearly not. There's
Okay, just making sure.
not.
Okay, the gates here that are being pushed over, was that by the order of the cops? Oh, you see the cops walking back now. Do you think that they're letting them in peacefully now? Now are the cops leading them in? Or do you think they're retreating from position because there are 50,000 savages that are in front of them that have all been riled up from Donald Trump and marched like a mile away to come to the Capitol building to protest the election results? Or were they just letting them in? Do you have any idea?
Okay, so some of them were let in. Some of them
Okay,
approached
okay.
without being held back by the law enforcement.
Okay, well now we're coming to the building. Okay, is this guy banging on the window, the one that broke it there? Are these guys being let in right now? That guy? Doesn't look like it. Hold on. Oh, now when that guy jumps in and the cop is spraying, what is that, silly putty? I guess it must be Adam or whatever because they're playing games here. Are there already people being led into the building at some other spot at this point? Or are the first people in the building the ones that broke in?
There's a few people that broke in. Yes,
The first
I
ones
can
that got
clearly
in
see that.
broke in,
Anyway,
correct?
So just to get back.
No, wait. First, I want to hear you say the first people that got into here broke in, correct?
The first few people, it looks like some of them were pushing their way in.
And no.
Yeah,
What do you call it when you?
Oh my god, this is so. Oh my god. Bad Faith 101. This is Bad Faith 101. Bro, it's already almost 2 a.m. I am tripping. I gotta go to bed soon, guys. I'm sorry. We only got through like an hour of it. We'll have to finish it as another time. I'll give it like maybe 30 more minutes, and then after that, yeah, I gotta go.
Push through a material and you break it. That's called a break-in. They broke in, right?
So I just have a quick question for you. Like you seem extremely angry about all of this,
Yes,
and
I
you're
am.
fighting with a lot of people on Twitter.
Yep.
You're insulting people on
Yep,
Twitter.
I am.
So do you think that any of what's been said by the people in the last 4 years, like I said, demonizing Trump, calling him, like literally Hitler, and celebrating, the people celebrating the attempt on his life, do you think that contributes to what was happening in 2020?
No, maybe a little, maybe 1%.
Why not?
Here's
Why
the
not?
issue you have is because your problem is you're saying too many people are demonizing Trump. Have you ever stopped to think, well, maybe he's acting like a demon? People are treating Trump like he's a dictator. Have you ever thought that maybe he's actually acting like a dictator? The fact that you're not
I
familiar
don't
with
see
anything that
evidence
happened
of
on,
him-
you don't know any of the
No, I
evidence. You
don't
don't know
see
the
evidence of him
entire
being a
Jack Smith
dictator.
indictment. You didn't even know that the first people that got into the Capitol building broke in. Why would I care what you know? You clearly know nothing about any of this. Yet you seem to have a strong opinion
No,
about
I
it.
don't think that's correct. I think I know some things. I wasn't following, like I said, wasn't following it 24/7 without sleeping or reading full indictments.
Oh my god, bro. Well, that, and there you go. Here's another. Now this is an example of what we call it. Would this be what you call gaslighting? To sit there and say, oh, well, I wasn't looking at it 24. You don't need to look at it 24/7 and just read something one time. Like that to me is like a crazy statement to make. But keep going. I can't stop.
But it's
Or reading any part
possible-
of an indictment, right? Can you be honest about that? You haven't read a single sentence in any of the 4 indictments that Donald Trump is facing in the United States, right? Well, I guess it's only 3 now because one case is done. Hopefully it gets tossed. Thank God for the Supreme Court. But can you admit that you haven't read a single word of any of those indictments?
No, before that, can you?
No.
please
I need to hear you.
explain-
I need to hear you say that first, so that we're on the same page, and then I'll answer whatever question you want. You haven't read a single
No,
sentence
but
from any
you
of those
interrupted
indictments.
me when I was trying to talk to you about him being a dictator. You say he's a dictator. He's acting like a dictator.
Yeah.
Did he not relinquish his, his loss?
After a failed insurrection. So no, he didn't relinquish it. He lost his insurrection attempt, and then he walked away
So
mad.
even though he said, "Be peaceful, we're not violent," and all those things, you still believe that you assess for that to be part of him inciting an insurrection. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, because I have a brain. And somebody saying in one sentence, walk peacefully, doesn't magically nullify the entire hour-long speech where he's telling people you have to fight like hell or you're going to lose your country, or that we have to pressure Congress to do the
Okay,
right thing and
but-
count
okay,
the
hold on,
legally
but-
slated
but-
electors. So, I just want to be really clear, because in any other circumstance you would understand this, but obviously your brain is subject to the political cancer that has manifested there for at least the last 4 years, right? No, a single sentence in a
I
1 hour
don't-
speech
you don't-
does not nullify the entirety of the speech. Because guess what? If I look at what happened right after the speech, do you think it's a coincidence that people went there marching, chanting 1776
So you
on the
think
day that the
fight like
election was
hell
going to be certified, and then they broke into the building and they delayed the certification of the election? Was all of that just a coincidence?
So you think the words "fight like hell" is problematic, but you don't see other words as problematic when they say.
Kat, I'm so
for
sorry.
example-
No, I don't evaluate this like a 4-year-old. I'm not looking at one sentence or one word because I know what you would say. Well, when they said fight like hell, what about when Nancy Pelosi says we need to fight? And what about no? It's not the same. What I'm saying is that taken as a whole, Donald Trump called people here on January 6th to do the speech while they were certifying the vote. He riled them up. He tried to rig the election, and then he sent them to the Capitol building to protest, where they broke in, where they delayed the certification of the election, which was his
I don't
goal,
think
and then he
him
made
giving
calls.
an impassioned speech for his country is them riling his base up.
What were they
I
going
don't-
there to
I don't
protest?
believe
What were
that
they
you
going there
can
to
make that
protest?
correlation. Pardon?
What were they going there to protest?
They were going to protest because they thought the election was stolen from them
Oh,
unlawfully.
that's an insurrection.
No, it isn't.
What do you think it
How-
means if you go
how
to
is
protest
this-
because you think an
how is
election
this
was
protest-
stolen?
Well,
I can't believe she actually really said that, bro. Like what? Like oh my god, bro. That's so crazy. Hilarious. I should say that I should go with that. That's actually more hilarious than anything, bro. Like what what would you call that then? What would you call that? Okay, you know what I'm saying? How about this? You know, you go into country and there's a voting process. The voting process is done and new person is now put in power. And then a group of people come and try to disrupt said process or overthrow said person, right? What would you call that? That would most certainly be an insurrection, right? Trying to stop and reverse a voting process and putting somebody into power is what would be called an insurrection. I'm sorry. That's what that is.
Hillary thought it was stolen.
Hillary
because
Hillary
she said
gave
he's
up
the
that
illegitimate
night.
president.
Hillary gave up that night. How many court cases did Hillary launch to challenge the election results? Can you tell me? How many court cases was it?
How many powerful people wanted her wanted her kept out of power?
How many
Did
court
she have-
cases did Hillary Clinton
How
Clinton
many-
launch
no,
to
no,
challenge the election
how-
results?
Did she have an entire barrage of media and elected officials demonizing her and doing the same thing that they're doing to Trump, trying to prevent her from being elected?
If I was to try to give that to her, right, and saying that the difference is because Hillary Clinton didn't have a barrage of media, trying to keep her from being elected, what does that have to do with the actual votes? In terms of like actual court challenges, right? What that just sounds like what advertisements, campaigning, right? That's what all that sounds like to me. And if I'm not mistaken, she lost, right? Like I don't know like why why people love bringing up like Hillary Clinton so much. It's so strange to me. It really is like really strange to me that to this day, boy, Hillary Clinton is living rent free in these boys' mind. Hold on, this isn't gonna work. I'm gonna have to take that one off. Or do I want to take this one? Hold on. Let me fix this real quick so I can get my mind right here. Because I can't block that. So I can definitely do this. And I can do this. Huh. Yeah, and then I guess I'll just have that one here. Okay. Oh yeah, I guess that'll work. But yeah, no, like the Hillary Clinton being like the boogeyman, continuing to being the boogeyman for them is just wild.
Did that happen to Hillary?
How many court cases did Hillary Clinton launch challenging the results of the election?
But did she have such a forceful barrage of, like I said, media, elected officials, and including their base, just vehemently opposing, calling her Hitler, calling her the devil, saying all these things?
Yes, the Republicans have been doing it for years. Yes. What do you think the email scandal was about? What do you think the Benghazi hearings were about? By the way, hearings that Hillary Clinton sat through, gave testimony for like 12 hours, and an investigation that she fully cooperated with. Not like the insurrectionist, traitorous president
she
that you
didn't-
support,
so
who
she
invoked
did not-
executive privilege at every single opportunity, who pled the fifth at every single opportunity, and who has now been granted absolute criminal immunity for some of his actions, so that he never has to answer for any of the things he said. So to go
she
back one more
didn't
time,
believe
I answered your question. To go back one more time, how many lawsuits did Hillary Clinton file challenging the result of the election?
I don't know. Did she file any?
Not a single one.
Okay. So they
When did
said
Hillary? Wait,
that-
when did Hillary concede the election? It was within 1 day. Do you agree with that?
I was following closely then, so I don't know.
It
I just know
was.
that she
It
called-
was
I
within
know
a
she
day.
called him an illegitimate president.
That's great. I know.
and
Yeah, I know. You got those good
probably
talking points in. I like how that, by the way, I like how that one sentence, that's enough for you there. But one sentence from Trump saying, fight like hell, and then afterwards, people going, fight like hell. That doesn't mean anything to you. That's very funny to me.
Fight like hell doesn't necessarily mean go and try to assassinate a VP or break windows or anything like that.
Then why is it, wait, let's say I agree with what you just said. Okay, sure. Why is it then that when that started to happen, and when staffer after staffer went in begging Trump, hey, can you call off your sycophantic savage fuck fans? Can you please do that? Donald Trump sat there drinking a Diet Coke while Ashley Babbitt got shot in the fucking face in the basement of the Capitol building dying. Can you tell me why Donald Trump didn't stop them if they weren't doing exactly what he wanted to do? Why did Donald Trump and his crooked fuck lawyer, Giuliani, make phone calls to lawmakers inside of Congress telling them, hey, maybe you should delay the vote. Maybe you should push it back a few days. Why did he do that if that wasn't exactly what he wanted his protesters to do?
How do you know?
I'm going to re-ask the same. Just so you know, the conversation is over right here until you answer that question. Or give me an alternative thing. I'm not answering another fucking. I'm not playing this game. You have to tell me what was the point because it seems incredibly obvious. Donald Trump gave a speech. They went to the Capitol. They broke in. They delayed the certification of the vote, which is what Donald Trump apparently wanted them to do. And for hours, while they protested, breaking windows, breaking doors, breaking on inside, he sat and he watched. And the only phone calls that he made when people were begging him to tweet to stop the violence were to try to pressure lawmakers to delay the vote. Tell me why he did that. Why did he wait for hours? Give me one possible explanation that doesn't satisfy my story.
I'm not in his mind. I'm not a mind reader. I can't ascribe motivation to his thoughts that I don't have access to, Destiny.
Oh, that's great. What is your profession? What do you do professionally?
That's not relevant.
Okay, why do you think that we can't ascertain the state of mind of a person ever? Do you think that's just impossible? You said that I was angry. How do you know that? Maybe that's how I always talk when I'm streaming. Why did you assume that I was angry?
I've watched you stream. Like you speak fast, and you obviously come prepared. You have your talking points. So like you.
Hold on, whoa. To be clear,
you're
none of these are
passionate
talking
when
points.
you
If you
speak.
want, we can spend. I'm streaming until I got 4 hours. So if you want, we can dig as deep, or I can even just link you because I've got whole documents that I've written on this whole scheme and this whole plot. I've read every single indictment from top to bottom. I've read every single criminal statute involved in the indictment from top to bottom, and I've read basically every fucking news article written about these indictments from top to bottom. So no, I don't have just talking points. That's what you have when you say Hillary Clinton said that Donald Trump was an illegitimate president, and also I have no idea what happened on January 6th or the entire lead up to the insurrection for what Donald Trump did.
Okay,
No, I
so
don't have
once
talking
again,
points.
It's an unfair statement to say I have no idea what's going on.
You didn't know anything about the whole scam. Do you know anything about Mike Eastman and the coup memo or what the plot was on January 6th? What do you think Donald Trump was talking about when he said Mike Pence needs
seems really
to
obscure. That
Obscure?
seems obscure to me.
Oh, well, that's crazy because it was literally part of 2 of the massive indictments that Donald Trump is facing that he's probably going to get away from now because the criminal immunity has been granted. Do you think that the Jack Smith indictment is obscure? Do you think that the Georgia Rico case is obscure? Is it obscure unless it shows up in like a Twitter headline or a TikTok video for you?
I don't use TikTok.
Okay, where the fuck do you get your news from? That the most important stuff that's happened in this country related to this election and the current ongoing criminal cases are obscure trivia to you. You know that like the federal government hosts these indictments for everybody to read, right? They're not like hidden.
I would say that's obscure to a lot of people that aren't terminally online. Like,
Terminally online? I'm sorry, hold on. You think that knowing what's in a federal indictment for a prior sitting president makes you permanently online?
No.
Okay, hold on, wait. Can you admit that what you just said was beyond fucking stupid, right? Tell me, it is actually reasonable that maybe I'll let you slide because you're a fucking Canadian retard, okay? But for an American citizen that's voting, maybe, well, you're Canadian and you are retarded. I'm just calling it as I say it, okay? Can you? It is reasonable that an American. I don't care. I'm over. I'm so over it. Pat, I don't care. I don't care that you're trying to insult me or not. What you're doing is so much worse. You don't see how evil you are, okay? It is so much worse than calling me names. If you were more informed and then you were calling me names, I'd be fine with it. That's okay. I don't give a fuck. I'm done with the civility bullshit where as long as you're speaking politely, you think that gives you carte blanche to act like the scum of the fucking earth, okay? Can you tell me it is not unreasonable for an American citizen to be familiar with what is in a criminal indictment for a past president? That's not a terminally online thing to know. Can you admit that?
I have to disagree. I think most people don't sit there reading through indictments.
Okay, who do you think should? Maybe the people that are spoon-feeding you the news that you maybe at least they should have to read it? Do you think?
What do you mean people spoon-feeding me news? People can consume news however they practice.
Sure, but I mean it's obvious for your news consumption. You look at a media feed that feeds you headlines, and you read that, and that's where your opinion is formed from. So the people that are feeding you those headlines, don't you think at least they should have read the indictments?
No, just one second. I don't need news headlines. I can assess information for myself when I see it.
What is the last piece of original, not digested information that you've read?
Condescending about
no,
it.
you deserve to be condescended to. My country is having a fucking ex-insurrectionist, okay, try to run for president, and you support him. So no, I think it's okay for you to be highly critical, but you don't know anything about it. But you have a strong opinion about it. I don't understand where you people fucking come from. I don't know why you would be so confident. What do you think I do all fucking day? That you're confident enough to come in here knowing absolutely fucking nothing about anything that's happening. You're like, okay, well, I'll go and have a reasonable conversation with this person.
Okay, so I don't think you're having a reasonable conversation with me. I think you're being extremely rude. I've been respectful to you. I've indulged in clicking on a link that you've asked me to look at. I've agreed with some of your points. I disagree on your assessment. I just don't, like, I see you, become extremely dysregulated and you don't even know me and you're telling me that, you're telling me all these things about me that I'm this and I'm that. Like, I don't think is a productive conversation.
You're beyond having a productive conversation. Also, you're not the first. You won't be the last one to use a psychological term on me. Don't worry. I'm immune to it at this point. You have no term? Dysregulated. The fact that you have no concept. The fact that you have no concept of any of the stuff that's even in the criminal indictments. Do you understand how absolutely fucking infuriating that is? That people don't even know what our president or our ex-president was charged with. They don't even know.
Well,
you don't think that's insane?
Like I told you.
And they're sitting there making like all these. Jesus Christ! There's no way I just did it. Oh yeah, sure did. It was at 47, and then like to sit there and just like to make the statements that they make is just crazy.
The entire hour-long speech where he's telling people you have to fight like hell. You're gonna. It was within a day.
Called him an illegitimate president.
That's great. I know. Yeah, I know. You got those good talking.
I don't need news headlines. I can assess information for myself when I see it.
What is the last piece of original,
no
not
need to be-
digested
there's no need
information
to
that
be
you've
that
read?
condescending about
No,
it.
you
Like,
deserve to be
throwing-
condescended to. My country is having a fucking ex-insurrectionist,
go.
okay, trying to run for president, and you support him. So no, I think it's okay for me to be highly critical.
No,
but
I don't
you
think-
don't know anything about it, but you have a strong opinion about it. I don't understand where you people fucking come from. I don't know why you'd be so confident. Do you think, like, what do you think I do all fucking day? That you're confident enough to come in here knowing absolutely fucking nothing about anything that's happening? Be like, okay, well, I'm gonna have a reason.
Yep, and then make all these now where was I getting at? Yeah, and then make all these like these supportive statements and stuff. Sitting there trying to support. It's a flying enemy. Ooh, damn. I'm gonna have to go kill him myself. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go kill him myself. There's no way I'm gonna be unless he gets close enough over there. But that's probably not gonna happen. But yeah, they'll just sit there and make all these supportive statements and stuff, and then just like continuing to mislead like other people because like I think I might have rewinded like just a few minutes behind, but. You know, if you're not going to sit there, you're not going to do the research and stuff and make the statements, then I can understand that you would like to hope that the people that you're getting your information from at least did their research. So it becomes a huge problem when the people that you're actually like getting your information from also didn't do the research, and then you're going to sit there and just take that what they're showing you is just is basically the gospel for what it is for whatever particular situation you're getting at. And that's a huge problem because then you got people like this, right? The girl that would sit there and then like start like making it seem like Trump is Trump or whoever, right? Because this applies for anybody. Is such a good person versus what they really are, and it's so wild to me. It's so wild to me that you could be so confident making that statement, and you don't even attempt to do any like any counter research to make sure that what you're about to sit there and put your support behind of is actually legitimate or okay, like across the board. It's wild.
Conversation with this person.
Okay, so I don't think you're having a reasonable conversation with me. I think you're being extremely rude. I've been respectful to you. I've indulged in clicking on a link that you've asked me to look at. I've agreed with some of your points. I disagree on your assessment. I just don't like. I see you, become extremely dysregulated, and you don't even know me, and you're telling me that you're telling me all these things about me that I'm this and I'm that. Like I don't think that's is a productive conversation. I told you what.
You're beyond having a productive conversation. Also, you're not the first. You won't be the last one to use a psychological term on me. Don't worry, I'm immune to it at this point. You have no
term?
dysregulated. The fact that you have
just
no
an English
concept,
word.
the fact that you have no concept of any of the stuff that's even in the criminal indictments. Do you understand how absolutely fucking infuriating that is? That people don't even know what our president or our ex-president was charged with. They don't even know.
Well,
you don't think that's insane?
like I told you, there's people who follow this case 24/7.
Hold on, excuse me. No, hold on. You don't get to characterize my positions. Follow the case 24/7.
Characterize mine.
What was I incorrect about?
Well, you were using ad hominem attacks to discredit my viewpoints. And
I
things
was
of
not
that
using.
nature.
I discredited your viewpoints by saying how stupid they were, and then I pointed to the fact they probably happened because of your news conception. I'm sorry. Wait, what point of yours do you think that I didn't discredit on a substantive basis? Just because I'm calling you names doesn't mean I'm engaged in ad hominem. I can both call you names and substantively disagree with the things you say. Can you give me one thing you said you feel like I haven't
definition of
substantively?
ad hominem is calling someone names and calling them stupid.
No, I'm sorry, man, but an ad hominem is when you dismiss a person's argument by appealing to a personal attack. If I say you're wrong because of
Yeah, that's
XYZ
what
dipshit, that's not an ad hominem. That's just me calling you a name after substantively disagreeing with you. So if there's a point that you feel like you made that I didn't address, feel free to tell me and I will address it.
Okay, as I said, I don't think there's such a need for insulting me. I don't think that's called for, but maybe we can agree to disagree on that. Ad hominems don't help in my opinion, but yeah, I wasn't prepared for you being like as angry as you are.
Do you understand
like I
that from
said,
my perspective, we are looking at a decent chance of the next president being a guy who, at least from my point of view, launched an insurrection against the government. That's where we're at right now, and everybody around the world is so interested in defending this traitorous scum fuck, okay? And then when I press them on it, okay, whether it's you, whether it's the Konstantin guy who throws his Ukrainian family under the bus to suck off fucking Putin, whether it's
What?
Tim
Okay,
Pool who's
there's
being
no
wrapped so
need for
fucking
such
tightly around his
filthy-
fucking head that he can't process more than
Destiny.
1 or 2 sentences, okay, without saying something, right? That all of these
Destiny,
people, hold on, all
Konstantin
of these
is
people,
not-
all of these people, he's subhuman scum, okay? That all of these people are interested in defending this guy, and nobody knows the substance of any of what he's even charged with.
Are-
Do
are
you
all the
understand? Do you
people-
understand how frustrating that is as an American who has a vested interest in seeing his country at least not turn into an authoritarian dictatorship?
I think it's far-fetched to say that if Trump is reelected through the Electoral College, like you said, would be what was the word that you just used? Like,
Authoritarian
total
dictatorship. Why do you think it's
Yeah.
far-fetched?
Well, because like I said, I don't believe he acts like a dictator.
You don't. Okay, how not? Do you think
Well,
that, for instance, do you think a dictator would try to
if-
prevent
if-
the peaceful transfer of power?
I don't think he was trying to prevent the peaceful transfer of power. He called for peace. He called for law and order. He said we are for law and order.
So
to me,
every
it's
single
my God.
violent protester that was just
Oh my god, yep. Right. Whereas like if I'm not mistaken, right, wasn't it on the date of the election, right? He sat there and tried to make the claim that he won the election, even though all the votes hadn't been counted yet, right? And then after that, then he said that every vote that came in afterwards, while it's literally still being counted, was illegitimate, and he was actually declared winner. Then he filed like all of the different court challenges, which he has a right to do, and then and lost all of them because nobody could provide any substantive evidence of voter fraud, right? Because there was this massive voter fraud. Remember the Kraken lady, right? There was this huge, the Kraken of evidence of voter fraud, and she was going to show it all. And then that didn't actually turn out to be true. And then you had the actual like protests or even before that, right? Then you had the trying to pressure Mike Pence to do the election scheme. And you know what's crazy? Now that I think about it, but I'm gonna finish that thought after I'm done with this statement, right? So then, like, pressuring your vice president to do something that he's not even, he constitutionally can't even do. And thank God, like him or hate him, right? At least we know that Mike Pence is a man. Mike Pence is a man, boy, because I'm telling you, man, the death threats and everything that he was sitting there facing, boy, crazy. But and then pressure from like all sides, from certain Republicans and from your actual boss and everything, and you stand 10 toes down still. You know what I'm saying? And like, at least he is a man of like moral character. If more religious, see, if actual, like, I don't even, is he actually Christian or one of those faiths, right? If actual religious people actually adhere themselves to like a moral fortitude, like Mike Pence did, then I think it wouldn't be bad, but that's neither here nor there, right? Let me not get sidetracked. And then you had the actual protests, right? So then after pressuring your vice president failed, then you sat there and then you had the actual protest in lieu, right? In lieu with the fake elector scheme that you had going on, where you was literally trying to replace the electoral votes that were for Biden for you instead. Like, come on, bro. This is every other thing but a peaceful transfer of power. What did Hillary Clinton do again, right? What did Hillary Clinton? Oh, a statement that he's an illegitimate president for a day. Okay.
Random that they all went and violently protested the certification of the electoral vote.
Well, okay.
Oh, she's about to do the BLM thing. She's gonna go, what about BLM? Yeah, go ahead, do it. Do your
No.
I'm just gonna ignore it. So go ahead.
No, you're not getting ignored. Although BLM did mostly peacefully protest with fires in the streets.
Hold on. Do you agree that BLM was mostly peaceful?
No.
You're actual subhuman trash. You think that the majority of the BLM protests were violent?
That's crazy. Now that's actually crazy. See, this is what I'm talking about. Okay. You know something? Dude, is it even worth even like talking to people like that? I just wonder if it's even worth talking to people like that, because if they're not actually going to engage in and give you like any real substantive debate or counter argument, it's like, why do you even sit there and like even try to talk to these people? Like why? To sit there and say that a majority of the BLM protests were violent, it to me is crazy. To me, it's crazy, right? Because then all you have to do is then you just have to look at the records, right? You have to look at the state records, right? Like as far as like arrest records, violence, crime incidents, all that. You could just look at all of that and see that is not at all the case. So I don't know. To me, it's so crazy. It's so cringe, is what it is. That's the word. It's so cringe that what these people do. And all right, this looks good.
What?
I saw a lot of America burn under BLM protests.
Fuck you. What do you care and know about America? You have no idea.
I saw a lot of America burn under the BLM protests. That is crazy. And here I am again, pressing a button while this shit is here. Okay. Come the fuck on. Okay, there we go. I saw a lot of America burn during the protests of BLM. It was traumatizing. It truly was traumatizing. Okay. Wait, why is this back to 1 minute and 31? Is that right?
What the fuck you're talking about? You think there were like
okay.
millions and
I see what
millions of
you're
people protesting for like a year? You think the majority of those were violent? You're actually deranged if you think that. I don't even know.
No, I didn't say majority. I said
I
I
asked
saw
you.
BLM protests that were violent.
I didn't ask what you saw on YouTube. I didn't say. I'm asking you about the majority.
Hold on. She said she saw a lot of America burn, though. What is a lot of America? What is a lot of America supposed to mean in that in that context? Then
Majority of them were violent.
And anchors from outlets that were reporting on the ground, such as CNN, I believe it was.
Yeah, I know. I saw the same one. Yeah, I saw the same meme image. Don't worry, I've tweeted out before. It was real funny. Yep, I've seen it.
Fiery but mostly peaceful. Do you disagree that do you agree that you can call a protest that involves burning down police stations and streets and storefronts and where people have to put...
Oh my God, this is so crazy, right? If you're gonna sit there, you're gonna do that, then how is it that you think January 6th wasn't the same thing? And then you got videos of them like literally crushing these cops in between doors, taking like dude's baton and beating and beating this man on the ground with it, taking his taser or whatever. Like, bro, this is so crazy. This is crazy. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. Like that's so wild to me. This is what I'm talking about. Like, this is like such a massive problem. Then again, this girl's in Canada, so it doesn't even matter. But just the fact that these type of people exist, right? These are paid actors. I swear these gotta be paid actors. They cannot be anything else. They have to be paid actors. I promise you, right? I'm trying to think, when I sit there and do it, if somebody paid me for a large sum of money, would I sit there and act like that? Well, I'll just sit there and just act like I have only 5 brain cells that they're functioning at any given time, and sit there and try to like lie to people, sitting there saying that, oh yeah, you know, like this obviously wasn't violent, but then I look at this other separate situation that has literally the exact same like things going on in it and say this one was actually violent. This is wild to me. This is so crazy.
Put up signs saying we're a black-owned business. Please don't burn us down. We support Democrats. Don't smash our windows. Do you think you can call that mostly peaceful?
You know what, Kat? Whatever I would call that, I would never utter it in front of you because you don't even deserve to get that concession. You don't even deserve to have me accurately assess that. When
Okay,
you won't
so
even,
if I don't deserve-
when you won't even for a microsecond. Why the fuck, if you're on the left, should you admit to or concede to any of these things when you delusional, unhinged, cowardly, spineless
Okay,
fucks won't even admit to what happened on January 6th? Like it's like the most open fucking case in the world. The thing that when Donald Trump
Okay.
tries to defend himself, he says, I need
Destiny,
criminal immunity
Destiny.
to not be in trouble here. Right? So no, I'm not
Destiny.
even gonna concede to a fucking BLM thing, okay? God bless the fucking protesters, okay? They can go fight with the white nationalists in the streets and they can all go fucking, have fun with each other at this point.
Destiny. Okay, thank you for that tirade. Do you see anyone that? Okay, you say I'm not worthy of a response to the BLM protest. Why don't you do you see anyone in the room that's quote worthy of discussing that point with you? Maybe you can.
I didn't come here to discuss the BLM protest, so no, I'm not here to discuss that.
Okay, well,
I'm here to
you don't
discuss
have to
the
discuss- okay.
stuff related to Donald Trump and the insurrection. That's what I came here to discuss. If anybody here
Well,
wants to
you
jump on
don't have
that,
to-
then sure, yeah, we can talk about it. If someone wants to talk about BLM protest at some other point, we can. But I probably agree with most of it. But the difference is the left is generally willing to critique their side. The right is beyond critique. You guys are incapable, unfathomable when it comes to critiquing your own
that's
side.
so not true.
It is
I have
absolutely
seen-
true.
No, I have seen people criticize.
Oh, shut
on
the fuck
right.
up. No, you haven't. Please stop. Please stop. Shut the fuck up. You absolutely have not.
Just, oh god, I'm scared to actually press any buttons here to try and like rewind it back, and I don't want to like accidentally go too far back. But that whole exchange right there was just funny. He said, "Shut the fuck up. You do not actually believe that." Oh shit. Hold on. Let me pause this. And okay, we only got one enemy, and I got plenty of shooters. All my shooters are on deck, and I don't have nothing that was like in the process of being made, so it should survive.
Speaks towards the sitting president.
Oh yeah, but not the one that's coming to run for president. that was
Of
also
course,
elected
right?
for 4 years?
I've been very critical of Donald Trump. So
I'm sure. Yeah. Okay.
the name of my show is Liberty Lockdown. I'm very, very disappointed in the 2020 era. So odds of me supporting Trump openly or otherwise are pretty slim. But setting that aside, I'm glad to hear that you are concerned about political violence in this country. I just, at the same time, I don't understand your rhetoric yesterday or your response to the violence, basically applauding the loss of a voter for Donald Trump in Pennsylvania. It strikes me as callous, to put it mildly.
Not as hard as it struck that guy. Just curious. So I'm just looking through your Twitter. Okay, you said it is a tremendously fraudulent case brought against the leading candidate to be the next president. Which of the 4 cases against Donald Trump do you think are fraudulent and why?
Well, first off, I would say that the FBI document case in Mar-a-Lago, given that Biden is guilty of the same crime if it is one, I think that one's fraudulent.
Okay, just curious on that case. What is the crime?
It was, I think it was holding confidential documents after he left the White House, right?
You understand there's an intentionality aspect to that, right? You have to intentionally take and then knowingly hold classified information out of a SCIF.
Yeah.
It's not just like accidentally taking it, right? You understand that a lot of what Donald Trump is charged for in the Mar-a-Lago stuff is
That's the thing a lot of people are sitting there always forget, right? Like Biden, like Mike Pence, same exact thing, right? He had classified documents. He had classified documents. Like the difference is that you have to also show your intention to either keep said documents when you know you shouldn't have them, or do something with them you're not supposed to do. That second part is what get people hemmed up more than anything. Just the fact of you having documents that you shouldn't have isn't what is the actual crime that gets people in trouble. It's what you do after the fact. That's always the crime. That's what always actually gets you jail time or whatever, right? It's not enough that I sit there and I have a document I'm not supposed to have. But if I sit there and I try to sell it to China, like the one submarine, like I think like when they were recently, within a couple of months, it was like some submarine secrets or something that some guy was trying to sit there and give to China, like, stuff like that. Bro, it's a 90-day difference. So then when Trump sat there, he had said documents. He was told he had said documents and was told to give them back, and he did everything everything under the sun not to them back. I'm sorry. Like there's no comparison between that and what Mike Pence did and what Joe Biden did, right? Because when they found out they had documents, what did they do? They gave them shits back. Like, oh yeah, my bad, and then gave them back. no evidence of any fraudulent activity, like them trying to sell it to Russia or something like that. Okay, yeah, we're good. That's it. Like it's just it's so wild to me like that people sit there and try to like hold on to that argument. Oh
obstruction of
god.
justice because he told his employee to hide documents from NARA and then the FBI, right? Or did you not know that because you haven't read that indictment? But you were throwing up.
And they got video of that too, right? They got video of the man like of the man of whoever the Trump employee is sitting there trying to shuffle the documents around to other places so other people wouldn't find it. It's just crazy.
You're about to tweet about it.
I mean, that was a lot of assertion without actually allowing for me to answer. Yeah, I realize that there's intentionality. Do you think that there was no intentionality with Biden having hundreds of documents at his house?
I'm just saying that the two cases aren't comparable. The huge aspect of what Trump is being charged with.
He said hundreds of documents. I don't think it was hundreds of documents at his house. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I heard like anything about there being hundreds of documents. And if anything, even if that's true, if that is true, then Trump had to have tens of thousands of documents then, because the man had box loads of it, and I don't think that was the case with Biden.
What is it, the obstruction charge? Because he told his employee to hide documents.
Do you think it's at all odd that there would be this level of investigation into Trump and not into Biden?
I do think that the Trump stuff was really odd. I think the FBI should have kicked this door down a year earlier. I don't know why the fuck they waited so long. They gave him a year to turn those documents over to NARA, and he shunned them, he ignored them.
And that's true, right? Like if you actually sat there and you go through the step-by-step process of like of what they did when they first notify him all the way up to the actual warrant for the FBI going in and getting these documents, to me is crazy. And then not only that, but I don't even like what that guy saying too is also not true, because like there was an investigation of Biden as it was for Mike Pence, and it was just in both cases it was just showing that there was just literally nothing there.
Lied to them, and he had his employee move boxes around, okay, like a fucking ferret running through a maze before the FBI finally caught wind that there was some bullshit going on. Do you think that NARA didn't give him enough time to respond? Why do you think he didn't turn the documents over when they asked?
Okay, same question for you. Why do you have zero concern about Biden possessing classified documents, but you're totally up in arms over Trump? I don't understand.
I'm going to keep asking until you answer the question. Why do you think Donald Trump waited a full year to turn those documents over to NARA?
I don't know.
Why do you think he told his employee to hide them?
I haven't seen that's been proven that he told his employee to hide them. What's the evidence for that?
It's literally laid out in the indictments from recorded conversations. Or do you think the FBI is just making it all up?
Well, the
It is
FBI did lie to the FISA court to spy on his campaign before he entered the White House. So yeah.
So you think they made everything up
FBI.
in the indictment? Oh, okay. Well, in that case,
I
then
don't think they made up everything.
Okay, wait.
I don't think they made up everything.
Well, then what do you think about? Why do you think?
Why should I trust the FBI?
Okay, then don't. Then I don't know what the fuck I'm talking to you. If you don't trust any of the institutions or any of the investigative bodies, why did you say anything about the indictment? You should open with that. You should no, Destiny. I only trust what I read on Twitter. I don't trust anything from any of our three letters. I don't trust those guys. Just open with that next time, and we don't have to waste any time. Like on
I
some
already
factual
told you I'm a
analysis.
libertarian, so you could have assumed that.
Sure,
but
that
yeah.
you're retarded because it's basically one part and parcel of the same. Okay.
You don't need to insult people. I don't understand why you need to do that. Okay, let's take a question. Sharika Soul has her hand up. Sharika, you can unmute yourself.
Destiny, I just have to say that you are an adult male, and the way that you're talking to some of the women in here, well, Kat specifically, is actually really disheartening to listen to.
Oh God, that sounds. Oh no. Why? What does that have to? It's called a debate. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's not nice. It's just like she's like also probably the kind of person that sit there and say that war shouldn't be, that people shouldn't do like X, Y, and Z like during war. Like
Also, I am Black, and I'm kind of tired of white liberals denying the violence in the Black community and using Black Lives Matter, specifically protests, who, by the way, the Black neighborhoods that have the protest, they end up being destroyed and trashed. And it's not you that comes to the neighborhoods and helps clean up those neighborhoods after a protest. So for you to speak on Black Lives Matter protests and say they're not.
I was right. You see, like he didn't sit there and say that they were 100% without violence. That's not at all what he said. Wait, where's the one enemy at? That's not at all what he's saying. What he sat there. Okay, yeah, I think he's probably gonna get shot down, right? He gets shot down, right? Yep, there we go. Cool. All right. That at no point did I hear him ever have that come out of his mouth about saying that the BLM protests were like 100% peaceful, right? Not at all the case. It's not like what people are saying about January 6th, right? Sitting there saying that they were peaceful, right? There was definitely riots and stuff. We got this video footage, once again, right? Video footage of the riots and stuff for the BLM protests. But, and again, right? When you sit there and you look at all of the scheduled protests that they had, BLM protests, and then all of the actual recorded incidents of violence, right? Because then there would be uptick in what? Crime rates in said, in said state or area or whatnot, right? And we have seen that is not at all the case. Oh, it's like that. Okay, hold on. So then that means I need an overflow gate. Hold on. Because once I have two of these, once I get like two of these, then I think we'll be in good shape. Let me see. I need an overflow gate. I'll put that there. And then throw that back up. And then we'll just go ahead and, because it looked like it's, well, it's probably, and the only reason why it's probably caught up is, we'll see if I can get away with like having a second one here without anything. Probably not, but we'll see. Yeah, let's just continue.
Violent or whatever you were trying to say is disrespectful. It's disingenuous, especially to Black women who have to live in those neighborhoods and Black children.
Thank you as a Black woman for showing up to show that retardation can transcend both gender and race.
I'm not retarded. You're the white man.
I don't know why the fuck. What do you think I'm speaking on for BLM? This conversation is about BLM. I don't know why don't even know who the fuck you're talking to right now.
Stop cussing.
I can cuss what I want. What do you mean I can say what the fuck I want? It's freedom of speech.
Because
It's
you're
Twitter.
disrespectful.
Disrespectful what? This isn't your fucking Twitter space. You're not here to tell me what I can say or not say.
Black lives matter out of your mouth.
I can BLM. Black people need me. I'm gonna be the white savior of BLM. I love BLM. I'm the leader of BLM. I'm the self-appointed leader of BLM. Oh yes, I love BLM. Oh yes, Black Panthers. I'm joining right now. Oh BLM.
Keep it real.
I am keeping it real.
Black men are violent towards Black women, and we don't need people like you constantly using us for political talking points. Mind your own business.
Jesus Christ, Black men are violent towards Black women. You know what? I'm not even gonna. Honestly, I'm not even gonna entertain and even talk about it. Let's just let it play.
You don't know nothing about.
Why do I keep pressing this button? How much time I got? Okay, I have got to go soon. I need to stop playing.
We don't know you. Are
you lost? Are you lost right now? How did you even wander in here? Are you okay right now?
Mental distress, and you need to get on medication. Stop talking to women crazy. You only talk like that because you're behind a screen. If you were there and she had a whole bunch of men standing by her, there's no way you would keep talking to her like that. You're a punk.
Okay. Thank you, Sharika. Thank you so much for your valuable contribution. Okay, noted.
What he said? He said Shirka or something. What David did he? Keep going.
Okay.
No one gives a fuck.
Hold on, look, can I just finish? I know you're really skilled. You're really good at it.
No, it's just that you just don't know anything about like Donald Trump literally has tweets on like Truth Social saying he wants to suspend the Constitution, and you're asking me, you don't think the people that are supporting him in the Constitutional Republic they want to keep?
Okay, okay. I'll just restart. So once again, so the people that champion, when, for example, on issues that are not related to the subject, when they say give it back to the states because the states should have the power to say they voted for example, on abortion. They say they give it to the states. Is that not them upholding the constitutional republic and the process?
No, it's because they like the idea of. Let me answer the question without being like a rambling like 50 question. Okay, then you ask me the next question you want. Okay, no, when they say throw it back, find me a single conservative who is excited about throwing abortion back to the states as they are about supporting the right for sanctuary cities to exist, and then I'll believe you. No, conservatives don't give a fuck about states' rights. Absolutely not. They only support it in this case because they know they don't need less abortion than what they were. They don't need less abortion rights than they were before. That's the only reason they support it.
Stephen, real quick, man, you said that basically because Donald Trump is an insurrectionist attending his rally is supporting a fascist dictator or whatever, and ultimately it's a fuck around and find out scenario. You'd have to then extrapolate that logic to believe that the 70+ million people that voted for him are also guilty of supporting them and therefore fair game and in a fuck around and find out scenario. So am I misreading here? Are you saying that all of these people are open to assassination attempts?
I wouldn't say open to assassination. I'm just saying that if it happens, there should be zero fucking sympathy for anybody involved.
So you believe that
hold on, just to be clear,
half of the country deserves no sympathy? Really?
Yes. When half of the country is supporting an insurrectionist, yes. Democracy only works. And if you're I don't even know what. Actually, I don't know which one. If democracy only works when the people are working to actually like protect it, and when half the people in the country are supporting somebody that is undemocratic, then no, I'm not going to sit here and shed tears for people that end up being the victims of their own insane fucking ideology. No, this is fucking stupid. Why do I waste my time? There are way better things to cry over, like how fucking horrible Game of Thrones turned out. I'm not going to sit here and lose sleep over dipshits that are getting off as they engage in like insurrectionist supporting rhetoric. That's fucking crazy.
Just on a personal note, man, I really feel like you've lost your humanity.
I know, and that's great. And I wish that, and maybe one day, I don't know, maybe if you guys grow up a little bit, maybe you'll know this. Saying the most disgusting, horrible shit that you can in a polite tone of voice is one of the most horrible things that you can do as a human being. And the idea that just because you calmly and politely suggest that a guy that tried to overthrow the republic ought to be president, and that's a respectable opinion because you say it with a low voice, is beyond redemption to me. It's disgusting.
Okay, so you think we're disgusting? You think we're a basket of deplorables? Okay, I have a question that's sort of related. I see that a person named.
Do you notice how she said what is it, basket of deplorables? That statement there. So like you already know what kind of time she's also on, right? She's not there to actually like engage in like a actual legitimate matter, right? And then she has such a good depth of knowledge on all like the Hillary Clinton stuff, but then doesn't know anything about like the actual like Trump stuff that Trump is actually being charged with. That to me is crazy. To me that is pretty crazy.
Chase Geyser challenged you to a lawful duel under the Texas Penal Code 22.06. I'm not sure what that means, but then it looks like you blocked him after that. Did you not want to discuss that particular subject with him because
why would I accept a lawful duel with somebody?
Because because he seems like he would maybe be more equipped to talk about the things that you've read yourself. Maybe
if he wants to talk about something, then sure, we can talk. Why the fuck am I going to accept a fucking duel? That sounds fucking retarded.
I think that was just.
Wait, I'm so confused. Like, what kind of question is that? Huh? Wait, hold on. why did you not accept the challenge for a duel? And then when he gave her his answer, well, I thought because you just seem like you'd be so well equipped to debate him. Like, what? Those two things are not even like even remotely the same. What?
Saying, can we chat about it? Like maybe I said it politely and in my soft.
The chat about it?
something like-
A duel's a chat? Okay, hold on. First off, this is the first time I've ever heard of something like that. Is that even legitimate? Let me see. Texas law on duel. Texas is one of only 2 states that allow individuals to engage in a physical altercation if both consent to the fight. And Washington, both have laws that make mutual combat legal. This is actually a real thing? What? Hold on. Bro, there is no way. Oh, hold on. We've gotta read this. We have got to read this. For instant access. Oh, come on. Hold on. I don't want to like mess up my thing here. Okay. Let me go back. Let me think. Shit. Why do I keep on like pressing outside of it? I mean, I could easily find. I'm not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Let me just try to find an article that actually goes about it. Okay, here we go. Texas mutual combat law. And what is this? Starts at Fort Worth Star Telegram. I was about to say, you better let me close. Let's see. Texas mutual combat law allows settling scores with fists or until serious injury. Ever wonder if 2 people in Texas can duke it out without worrying about legal consequences? Of course they can. This is Texas. This is beautiful. This is so beautiful here. I did not know this. You gotta keep that in mind. Mutual combat or consent to do battle is an affirmative defense in assault and aggregated assault cases in the Lone Star State. Washington is the only other state in the union that allows this. Most people are aware that it is illegal to punch someone. Proper criminal defense attorney, blah, 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 right on his website. But did you know that Texas law actually allows people to agree to mutual combat? Bro, this is so wild. This is so wild and crazy. That makes me wonder, if they're the only 2 states that allow people to do like mutual combat, how do like the sports games, like the UFC, how do they actually then operate without worrying about any legal problems? I wonder like what's the actual like carve out in the other states for like the UFC sports fights and stuff. That'd be interesting. Not something I'd bother like looking up, but anyway, infliction of serious bodily injury nullifies the exemption and no weapons are allowed. Gang initiations also makes the defense moot. Consent must be given with a sound mind and not by force, threats, and intimidation. I'm kind of curious. They say infliction of serious bodily injury nullifies the exemption. So wait, like if me and somebody are engaged in combat and we're only throwing hands, right? So there's only the paws that we get to use, and like I hit him and like crack his skull, wouldn't you consider that a serious like bodily injury? Does that mean that then like the thing that we agreed to because we was just doing combat is just like nullified? I can understand if you was like being egregious with it, like I knocked him out and then I started like stomping the man's head on the ground. Then like obviously like yeah, like it's about to be rap, but like I'd be curious like how the statute actually reads, because sometimes like statutes are a bit ambiguous and like how they actually define these exceptions, and that could be a massive problem. And 1 second, I have to go and turn on the air, because my God, bro, I'm sweating so bad right now. It's crazy. But and the ambiguous thing is like super important, because even if there's like a technical law allowing you to do something, if it's not written in a way to like guarantee that there won't be an issue, then you can find yourself being those few exceptions, being like caught up in those few exceptions where now you about to you're about to face criminal charges for something that you didn't like even intend to do, right? Like I said, if you punch somebody and like his rib breaks into his spleen or something, like something like just like crazy, would you be held liable, right? I would have liked to think no, but if if that's not clear, then you know, I mean, it is what it is. Give me 1 sec. Let me just go cut it on real fast. This specific punch is amazing. All right, let's get back to it. But yeah, that's crazy. I did not know Texas and Washington have like combat laws. Oh, you learn something every day.
You don't like, but you know he was.
If he wants to
I would
chat, yeah,
assume
sure,
that
drag him
means
in.
debate.
I don't know why we would assume that means debate. I don't know why when
Why
Donald
not?
Trump says we need to fight like hell to take our country back, you would say, well, that doesn't really mean anything. But when another guy says, penal code 112, whatever the fuck, challenge you to a fucking duel, like, I don't know. If you want to drag him in, he wants to chat, we can. But no, it's just like you're spamming, you just like
We
shit post people that
blocked
they
him.
don't want to duel.
I don't think I can bring him in.
What's the guy's name on Twitter or whatever?
Hold on 1 sec. I'll let you know. Chase.
Oh yeah, I saw the
Geiser?
InfoWars too, so I know that he's like an actual fucking retard as well.
Is everyone a retard? Because
People
they
that are on
have different
InfoWars are all
opinions
retards, yes. Like if that guy would have been in the audience, like the bullet would have went one in hole and out the other, and there would have been no damage done. That's how fucking stupid anybody that works at InfoWars is, yes.
Oh my God, that's
I
crazy.
disagree with that assessment. But
I'm sure
okay,
you do.
we can- okay. So you didn't want to talk to him because
No, if he wants to chat, sure, go
he's-
for it.
He's from Infowars.
I unblocked him if
Okay.
he wants to chat. I just think he's stupid. I talk to stupid people for a living, that's how I make my living, yeah.
I have a good question.
Well, you gotta give you props for doing the living with what you're doing. That's you're pretty successful. So hats off to you for being successful at what you do, I guess.
And as it was being delayed, he made calls to the lawmakers, continuing to try to delay the certification of the vote. And the people at the Capitol building were using violence as part of the protest/riot. That's an insurrection.
That is not an insurrection. And if you call that an insurrection and narrow the definition as such, then you would have to admit that things like May 31st, 2020, where there were violent left-wingers that, unlike January 6th, used lethal weapons, injured 47 guards, burned down a guard station, and attempted to get into the White House, to the point where Trump had to be removed into a bunker, which then many on the left, including Joe Biden, mocked him for having to go to the bunker. That would also be an insurrection. And one of the points I want to
Rob,
get
just as a quick thing, okay? All right, this is the difference between me and every single spineless fuck on the right. If you were to give me an example of this, and if the examples were to lay out the criteria that I've set forth for an insurrection, what do you think I would say?
Well, you know of this. I would think you would say that there were some sort of meaningless differentiations because no two situations will ever be completely
Oh,
analogous.
okay. Well, that's not true. What I would say, and I'll say it right now, that's not true. It's funny that you think that there's a shortage of criticism for fucking BLM or whatever on my side, when that's one of the things I'm the most criticized for. That's fucking hilarious. But no, if you were to show me that there was some organized group of people who were trying to circumvent or overthrow some fucking government process, and that they did so in a means that incorporated violence, I'd probably say, oh wow, I guess that could probably qualify as an insurrection too. Sure, that's probably what I would say if assuming I saw the evidence.
Okay, then real quick, because the FBI decided not to have a massive task force, because Democrats seemed to say it was mostly peaceful, the National Guard shouldn't be deployed, etc., because that investigation didn't take place, use your best judgment. What do you think a bunch of violent lefties with Molotov cocktails attacking the White House, injuring 47 guards and burning down a guard station in an attempt to get into the White House, what do you think their motivations were?
I truly have no fucking idea. I haven't looked into it at all.
Right. Isn't it convenient? The FBI never investigates the things that occur on the Democrat side, and then you say, well, what can we do? We don't
The
have
FBI never investigates. Hold on, I'm sorry. What did Hunter Biden get convicted of for having drugs in a video? So therefore he lied on a 4473 for a firearm? Hold on, the FBI never investigates their own or Democrats or convicts them? What was the whole fucking not Durham? What was the thing about Biden and the fucking documents or whatever? That whole special counsel or whatever that was appointed by Merrick Garland, the Democrat DOJ? And I'm sorry, who did Donald Trump pardon? Every single fucking person that got convicted that was part of him? How the fuck are you trying to say there's a double standard here that doesn't exist on the Republican side? You're insane, Rob.
The rapidity in raising your voice is unimpressive to me. I could do it just as well.
Do it then. Go knock yourself out.
Notice how like the immediate response after being laid out all the facts and stuff, he says, "Oh, you can raise your voice if you want." Like didn't sit there and like discount anything or challenge anything that Destiny is saying. That to me is crazy, right? Because he's absolutely right? When people that sit there and say that, oh yeah, the DOJ is weaponized, but then like they conveniently leave out that Hunter Biden was charged, right? Biden was investigated. The Hunter Biden charge thing again, like I'll say it again, it's just wild that they just like lying on a form about like drug use, and then you find a video for however long ago that you had used drugs is like crazy. It's so bad that even some of the crazy Republicans like Matt Gaetz and like some others are even sit there and like they don't even like the charge that Hunter Biden got convicted of, because like honestly it's just kind of stupid, and that's why like it typically is never even done, like from a prosecutorial history point of view, right? Like something like that is never even normally even done to begin with, but they did it. So, and that's why I won't agree with Destiny that it's not good that there was never a need for the Supreme Court to carve out that the president is immune from certain official constitutional acts, like the defense of the country. So like, you know, being able to like murk off a terrorist in whatever country without due process and all other stuff, because he's charged with protecting the nation, right? I understand that, yes, like nobody ever thought for 1 second that typically you could make the argument that nobody thought for a second that a president could be held criminally liable for doing like an official action like that, assuming he did everything he's supposed to. But could you imagine if you had like a Congress, right, House and Senate full of tin pools, right, that like they kept on going so crazy about when Obama did the drone strike on the terrorists, and there was also an American citizen that was also I guess there with the terrorists and whatnot. and to think for 1 second that there's no way that couldn't possibly lead to like Obama potentially being prosecuted for carrying out an official act to protect the nation, just because like an American citizen was killed in the grand scheme of things of like trying to get to that terrorist. Like to me is to me is wild that he would sit there and he wouldn't address that. And I'm talking about Destiny at this point. But you know, again, right? But in comparison to everything else, like it's a no-brainer.
Nonetheless, right? No, it's clear. For example, let's take those one by one. The investigation into Biden, it was covered up from the get-go. The only reason that it ever resulted in any charges was because two whistleblowers from the IRS outed the fact that the FBI was covering for this. Now we know the CIA was as well. Then a judge blew apart the sweetheart plea deal that was given to Hunter Biden. So with egg on their face, they charged him with the most meaningless crime that couldn't be connected to his father and their family, which was a gun charge when he was high, which I don't even think he should have been charged for.
Wasn't that? Hold on. This happened under Donald Trump's administration. Wouldn't it have been his FBI?
Yes, the same FBI that wanted an insurance policy and preventing him. The same FBI that for 4 years leaked to the press and illegally spied on him. Yes.
The same FBI where Comey came out and he made statements to the press about Hillary's email usage in a totally unprecedented manner. The same FBI that had.
Are you gonna clown yourself on this again? The last time I clowned you.
Oh my God.
Sure, everyone in the audience, me and Destiny went back and forth for over an hour on this, and the IG report showed that actually.
Oh God, this is so hard to listen to. Like this part because like
And then had to come out later and re-announce the opening of the Hillary investigation.
he's not addressing anything Destiny's saying. Like that's like what's making this like so difficult to listen to. Because I don't understand. I don't understand like the like. You're making this argument that there's like a double standard in this DOJ stuff, and then like example after example after example showing you that that is not at all the case. But then like you're still sitting there and like you're hell bent convinced that there is, or that you know that there is like some type of bias and stuff. But like you can't point to anything. You can't point to like anything that could definitively say that there's a bias, right? Because in order to show a bias, bias means that one side gets something that the other side does not, right? Whether that's good or bad. And so like if you're going to make the argument, you have to show that one side gets a treatment that the other side doesn't get. So if you're talking about prosecution, whatever type of prosecution you want to give, you have to show that the other side doesn't get that same type of prosecution, right? And some of the stuff you could even sit there and argue that honestly like the people that are in charge, that are technically in charge of the system, seem to get the shitty end of the prosecution when it seems to happen, right? Because like he was saying, right, the whole thing with the Hillary Clinton emails, where like James Comey basically hold that woman's chance to run for president when he came out publicly to sit there and say that we're investigating her for on the email server thing, just for that to just end up not being once again, like everybody was assuming it was just going to eventually lead to, not turning out to even be anything like worth even going through, right? Because there was just no evidence of like any like real misconduct or anything like that. It's just wild to me, right? Biden's charge, Hunter Biden's charge on the gun form thing. It's just so wild to me, you know. Meanwhile, like the other people, like when they're getting charged of actual like or getting hold with actual real things.
Was because the FBI intentionally sat on the fact that there were more emails on Anthony Weiner's
Your entire argument hinges, and the same thing that you just put forth now hinges on the idea that one or two whistleblowers can force the hand of a three-letter to make anything public, ignoring the fact that people like Julian Assange have been like fucking pushed out of the country for like over a fucking decade. You're telling me that the FBI or whatever, they're so fucking corrupt that they can engage in all this cover, that they'd be pressured to have one or two whistleblowers make the media like force them to release shit? They just ignore it, and American minds move on in literally one fucking week.
So you see how Destiny laments when he's talking to left-wingers that don't understand the facts of the case, how they're uninformed. But when Preston, someone's more informed of these IG reports than him, that show this is exactly what happened, that Comey himself admitted that the reason he came out was because there was this whistleblower that was going to come out, and he was afraid that the FBI would have an albatross on their neck because the American people would be furious after the election to find out that there was an allegation that the FBI sat on evidence of Hillary's potential criminality, and he got blown up in that debate. He knows it, but he defaults to these meaningless platitudes of saying, well, there could never be corruption from whistleblowers outing because if that was the case, then whistleblowers would have always outed, or the FBI would have been more corrupt and taken care of them. It's nonsensical. And so furthermore, then, let's go into the Herbert. Oh, I'll finish with this. The Biden business, the Hunter Biden business, what they didn't charge was the obvious FARA violations because they didn't want it to connect to Joe Biden. The fact that Hunter Biden was working with the five chief of China, with the executives in Burisma that were considered by Joe Biden himself to be corrupt foreign oligarchs, and with lobbying to the United States, and no doubt his father, those are the crimes that aren't being charged.
Okay, sorry, hold on. I stepped away from it. I'm so sorry. I know that you were doing your whole fucking rant. Relating to the insurrection stuff, do you agree that Donald Trump tried to get 7 false slates of electors?
I'd call them alternate slates, but yes.
Hold on. They were not certified or appointed by the state legislatures. Do you acknowledge that they were fraudulent slates? That when they signed the papers that said that we assembled at City Hall and we are the state assembly and we are the duly appointed blah blah blah, that was a lie. They were fraudulent.
I will say this. Unlike you, I will stay on the topic that you're desperately trying to change to because you're getting blown out on the other side.
Hold on, excuse me. The whole point of this call wasn't to debate every single fucking AGI report and everything that Rob Noah wanted to talk about. That was the point of this fucking call. The point of this was the point of this. The point. No, it's not about getting blown up. The point of
Try
this.
not to interrupt each other. Let each other speak, please. I don't want to mute anyone because Destiny said you don't want to be muted. I'm trying to respect that wish because you agreed to come on, and I really appreciate it. Can you guys just let each other finish sentences? Just like a little bit more than you are. It's hard to hear you guys.
Sure. The topic of this space, the thing that I came here to discuss, was not every single prior AGI report. It was the Trump insurrection stuff. That's what we were talking about with Pat. That's what I'm talking about right now. Do you think that Donald Trump did 7 false slates of electors?
I think he did alternate slates of electors that his team recommended as a legal strategy, that was a potential to go through because he felt that the election was fraudulently taken from him and that courts were unwilling to hear cases that he truly believed in.
Would you support President Biden if he SEAL Team 6 Donald Trump? Because he thinks he's legitimately.
So then what's the problem then, right? If he sat there and did that because he felt like the courts wouldn't take his concerns seriously, like it or hate it, isn't that the official, like, you know, American judicial process? So why are you challenging that? Like, I'm so confused. Like, so it's okay to sit there and make a scheme to circumvent a process? Like, to me, that's kind of wild. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's kind of wild. Sit there and say that. Do I want to make batteries too? I probably should do that. I'm about to save and get ready to, like, pack it up, guys. I'm tired. I am tired for sure. Let me just do batteries there. And then we're going to need to, because how do I make pyrite again? I think it's a kiln, right? I think it's a kiln. Isn't it? Is it a kiln? No? I think it's a kiln. No, it's a pyrite mixer. Isn't there like an actual, yeah, it's a pyrite mixer, right? But doesn't it need like sand, copper, and we need coal, lead, and sand. There's plenty of sand, and I do have plenty of lead, right? That I could sit there and I can do an overflow gate to then, like, divert the lead. All of this is sand, so nothing like that, right? So the only thing's coal, and there's coal here, and it's coal over there. So what we want to do is we're gonna focus on the pyrite mixer. We'll focus on the pyrite mixer, and then that way we can begin supplementing our defenses, right? Because is it the Rippler? What does the Rippler need in order to be built? It needs graphite, so I do need to be careful and make sure I make graphite. But yeah, see, because we could do a Rippler, or do we just want to just do the salvo? Although the salvo, yeah, because I'd rather the salvo have pyrite, because then I can use that for other stuff, or to eventually use it for the Rippler and whatnot, right? So if I want to do graphite. I'm going to want to make graphite. This is what? And also graphite, right? Graphite and titanium. Oh, you know, technically, I don't need to make it because the scrap is already making graphite. I think isn't it making silicon too? No, it's just graphite, right? It's graphite and titanium. So technically my needs is, albeit extremely slow. Eventually I want to dedicate a process for making graphite. But I guess technically I can ignore that, right? In fact, is it the case too that, let me see something. What do I need in order to make this? 3,000 copper. Yeah, because right now all of the, all the titanium, graphite, and whatnot is just being wasted. Okay. So we're gonna begin making titanium. We're gonna begin using some of the titanium. Or matter of fact, I could just start building some of the stuff now, right? Doesn't the Rippler already use copper? Right? The Rippler already uses copper, right? So I mean, I could just supplement. I could just start putting this in now. That's what I'm gonna start doing. I'm just start putting okay, so if I do this, all right, if we're gonna start, yeah, if I'm gonna start doing that, then oh yeah, we could have been building that, but I'm not gonna worry about it right now. And it was 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, so besides this one, I can just right, and yeah, we'll do that, and then I'll start from the bottom. What I'll do is I'll start from the bottom on the building part, because this one almost certainly I'm gonna wanna do that, right? Yeah, let's go like this, right? Because I'm gonna take away these guys here. This one can stay here, it's fine. But yeah, I'm gonna take away this one. We'll take away this one. We'll take away these three because like they're gonna have reach issues. So yeah, I'll put that one. As a matter of fact, hell, this whole section here, and then I'll leave these here as like for backup. But okay, that should all right. Let me make my way down real quick. I didn't build nothing over here, right? Yeah. Since the one thing sits there and can do copper, and then eventually pyrite, there'd be no reason for me to just not build some of that now. Nice. Okay.
Thinks it, what if he legitimately thinks he's a threat to the nation?
I would not support that. I would not have supported Donald Trump if he did the same to Joe Biden.
Well, but you did.
But
Why would you support Donald Trump? No, you don't need an analogy. Why would you support Donald Trump creating false slates of electors?
But so let's do the analogy. Would I support Joe Biden using a false slate of electors?
No, it doesn't count. No, it doesn't. Wait, no.
Let me answer, please. I would be pissed off. I would say that that's terrible. I wouldn't think that it's criminal. I think that what would happen would be that this was an attempt to have a legal challenge to the election that was a Hail Mary. I think that had Trump been successful and Mike Pence gone through with this, it would have went to the courts. The courts would have quickly said, we don't see evidence of any sort of...
Hold on, wait. I'm sorry, wait. One step at a time before you do your whole weird revision bullshit, okay? So you admit that the initial 7 slates, those were not authorized by the state assemblies, right?
I do believe that's the case, yes.
Okay, so they were fraudulent. I don't know why you're saying alternate.
Wait,
They were...
just to be artistic, 2 of those out of the 7 did specifically write on them that they were alternates to the main person and only could be brought in if it was found that they were the legitimate electors.
I would have to read that. I wouldn't trust...
Pennsylvania and New Mexico.
Okay, I would have to go and read that. I definitely wouldn't trust hearing that secondhand. But regardless, they were filled out. They claimed on the thing. I guess maybe on 2 of them, the 75 were false. Okay. When these were sent to Congress, the goal wasn't to have a legitimate debate over the election and whether or not there was voter fraud. They were trying to commit fraud, Rob, right? They weren't looking to have a substantive debate on the floor about whether or not voter fraud occurred. They were trying to push their own fraudulent electoral votes.
No, that's not true. What was occurring was that... You tell me then. This would be the easiest way to do it. Let's say Mike Pence accepts the alternate slate. What would happen then?
Well, nobody knows. Eastman says that he had several different plans for what could have possibly happened. He could have said that he's accepting the 7 alternate slates. He's going to cut short, I think, the time that the floor can debate, and he either accepts them or he throws it back to the House delegation and they make Trump the president.
What would have happened would have been that it would have went to the court. It would have been basically a constitutional crisis that the court would have looked into. The court would have either found evidence of fraud or not. Most likely you would believe they would have. And the election would have went to Joe Biden.
Hold on. No, hold on. I'm so sorry. This was not written in any of the Eastman memos. This wasn't the goal. The goal was to get the House delegation to make Trump the president or to get Pence to just choose the false elector slates and for him to make Trump the president. That was the goal.
Right. And what would have happened would have been that it would have went to the Supreme Court.
You don't know that? Why you just assume that?
It's clear. So you think what would happen when Pence would have just said Trump's president and everyone would have said, ah, shucks, I've been it.
Well, let's say that Pence says Trump's president and then Trump remains president, and then what? How does it go to the court? Who investigates that?
The courts would have, as an emergency measure, taken the case immediately. Now,
Wait. The courts would have taken the case
immediately. How?
Taking the cases that the alternate electors were...
Like how but what's the mechanism? Like what's the actual mechanism for that to actually even like the be processed? And then if that's the case, then wouldn't the argument be that well hold on. Well, and then the thing is too is that the crazy thing is that Donald Trump is president at that time, so he controls the Department of Justice. So there'll be a court. So like who would be what part of the government would actually be doing like an actual like challenge to that whole process right there? It damn sure wouldn't be Trump, right? So it could, because remember he has control of the Department of Justice, so he just tell the Department of Justice not to sit there and like whatever charge of prosecution. So who's actually going to take that? Who's actually going to have like standing for that? That's really strange. What they're sitting there like trying assuming would just happen.
I mean, there was
Who brings the case, Rob? The federal government is going to do it because Donald Trump is the head of the DOJ.
Yeah, exactly. Look, see, I just said that. Like literally, that's exactly what I just said.
The federal government, there were Democrat attorney generals, etc.
Oh my God, no, hold on, bro, come on, bro. Oh my God, it's holding me right now. Bro, it's holding me. It's burning up my clock right now. Stop it. Oh, bro. It's really playing with me right now. Brev. I'm mad right now. It really sat there and hold me in my time. I can't even go up there. If I go up there, it's gonna jack up my, or maybe I can't actually do it. Yeah, let's do it. Hold on. Let me just, I gotta try and monitor this as best I can here. Okay. And so I'm gonna want this one first. Then let's do this one, and this one, and then this one. Okay, yeah. It can shoot them through the walls? That's crazy. Okay. That's actually not good either. But let me play the video.
People outside of that would have demanded the court hear this case.
You can't just demand a court hears a case. There has to be a plaintiff. Somebody has to file the complaint and bring the case in front of a court. Courts don't choose what they want to hear. Who has standing besides the federal government? Who would have standing there?
Well, who had standing anyways? When it came to that, wasn't that the issue you were okay with? When it came to not hearing cases from Texas, that no one had standing?
These weren't about the vice president and his official duties as head of the Senate. These were totally different cases. I don't know if anybody has standing. The thing that I'm challenging, and by the way, I'm screaming at you, but it might have been maybe that a state maybe could have brought this case before the Supreme Court. For the current one, I sure as fuck wouldn't impress them to hear it, but maybe they could have. But for you to act like it's a foregone conclusion that, oh no, well, obviously any state could have gone before the Supreme Court and challenged the way that the certification went. You don't fucking know that. Maybe that's the thing that only the federal government has standing to do. I don't know for in the Constitution if the states have the right to challenge how the federal government certifies the election. That sounds like something that would be outside of the purview of the states.
I think that it's quite clear that that a Democratic state would have said that they had standing because they felt disenfranchised, and the Supreme Court would have been willing to hear that.
Wait, really? Texas tried that with Pennsylvania, and the Supreme Court told them to kick rocks. So why would you assume a state has standing to challenge how the federal government certifies its votes?
Because what they told to kick rocks was the fact that one state doesn't have the right to say how another state adjudicates their elections. This would have been different because it would have had the federal government choosing to take a slate of electors that weren't chosen by, say, a Democratic state like, say, Arizona. Right?
Sure, maybe the 7 states affected, maybe they could have brought the case, maybe, but we don't. But for you to pretend that you know 100% that they would have standing to do it, and that they would have heard the case, and that it would have turned out a-okay that the Supreme Court would have sided with them, that in 2 weeks the Supreme Court would have made a decision, despite the fact that Donald Trump would also then be president. You don't know any of that. And also, look at how far gone you are. Look at how far gone you are. You're like, well, I mean, Trump could have stolen the election and essentially soft-coup the government. Well, with violence, I guess, it would kind of be an insurrection. We'll just say soft-coup the government. However, like maybe the Supreme Court would have heard it within maybe like a month or 2 or 3, and then hopefully they would have ruled on the side of it would have had to have been 7 different conjoined cases. Then hopefully for every single case they present these. Like, how long would this have taken? Like look at how far gone you are. You're like, okay, and then like 10 months into the term, the president has to step down. Like. It's unhinged.
We'll let Rob respond, and then we'll move on to some other speakers that have their hand up. Is that cool, Rob?
Yes, I will be. It's not that far gone. It's obvious that would have occurred. It's not something that I supported. I thought there were court cases that should have been heard in places like Georgia and other places, Pennsylvania, where there were election challenges that should have been heard. But there was never definitive proof, and I was against Mike Pence signing off on those. He didn't. But I'm okay for criminality to try to attempt a legal strategy like this. This wasn't a coup that was near as damaging as what you have ignored, which was the FBI's behavior towards Trump.
What would the criminality even be here? Who would be doing the criminal behavior?
What criminal behavior? You're the one who's supporting Trump going to jail for this.
No, I'm asking you, like, let's say it goes to the Supreme Court. What are they even challenging?
They would challenge whether or not the ultimate slate of electors were legitimate because there was actually fraud claims that were true. That the Supreme Court wouldn't have been holding a criminal case at that point.
Hold on, wait a second. If you're arguing, hold on, I'm just so I can be clear. You're saying that in an ideal world, it would have gone to the Supreme Court would have looked at it, and then the Supreme Court would have ruled in favor of the states and having the correct slates of electors chosen?
Correct.
Then why the fuck did you call them alternate slates instead of fraudulent slates, Rob?
Because their feel was that there was a legitimate, incorrect...
When the fuck has that ever mattered? And if I feel like the bank owes me $1 million and I go and rob the bank, can I use that as an affirmative defense in court?
In Hawaii, when there was 2 slates of electors, was one fake?
No, because both were authorized by the state, Rob. Are you aware of that?
I am aware.
Then wait. Why did you just bring up Hawaii? Did you think I didn't know about that? No, hold on, one second. Why did you bring up Hawaii then when we're talking about a presidential candidate? They got 7 false slates of electors certified in order to send to Congress. Why did you bring up Hawaii as a counterexample of that?
I've talked to you about Hawaii.
Then why would you bring it up?
Because
guys, I'm going to sorry to interrupt. We've been going.
Okay, here, wait. Give Rob the last word. Go ahead.
Right. I'll just say,
give Rob the last word and then
even though the states accepted it, as you know, each state can choose their own manner in which they adjudicate this. If a state wanted to have an issue with alternate slates of electors, that's one thing. The idea that it's a federal crime for Trump to suggest this is another. And the point I'm trying to make is what happened in Hawaii was they had to put that alternate slate because the time frame on when these slates of electors had to be accepted was going to run out before they could do the recount that they found was necessary. And no one said that's fake slate of electors. The idea, what you seem to be implying is a fake slate is somehow that they were nefarious and lying and there was a chance that Mike Pence would have known. It's absurd. They knew which were the slate that was chosen by the states and those which weren't, and they know that those which weren't were protesting the election, which they had every right to do. It may have been ham-fisted, it may have been stupid optically, but it's not a criminal charge. And given what we saw from agencies that you supported for years, like the FBI illegally spying on Trump, that was more of a coup to this country than Trump's failed attempt to have the courts look at fraud from these election cases.
Okay, we'll leave it there. We can revisit if people want to revisit that further. Their hands up. I'd like to get to some of the hands. We have Darwin, and then I believe it was the older millennial, then Lauren, and then Christian Lamar. So in that order, Darwin, feel free to unmute and speak, and then we'll move on to the next speakers. And let's try to, keep it one at a time so that people can hear. I have people getting mad at me in the DMs that when you guys talk over each other, no one can hear anything. Thanks.
Hey, Destiny, how's it going?
Great.
So I'm curious. You talk about how if you mess around, then you find out. And basically, what I understand your position to be, listening so far, is if somebody supports Trump or if they go to a Trump rally, then it's open season on them. Do I have you wrong there?
I wouldn't say it's open season. I'm just saying if shit happens. I mean, I don't know why we would have any sympathy.
Well, are you actually against people shooting Trump supporters at this point?
I think it's probably not a good idea, but again, I don't have any sympathy for it. I don't care.
Okay. Do you think that it's democratic to shoot people who are against democracy?
In some cases, probably, yeah. Just depends on the case, right? I mean, isn't that kind of what the whole Revolutionary War was about? Was shooting people that were trying to prevent our democracy? You guys are the ones that marched for the 1776 thing, right?
Well, I suppose.
Do you think that like revolutions and shit that are fighting for democracy? Do you think they shoot people that are against democracy to defend democracy?
Yeah, I think people typically shoot people whenever there's a revolution.
Okay.
But it's just interesting to me. I thought the whole point of democracy is that you vote. You don't shoot people who want to run government in a different way. Is that not your understanding of democracy?
Typically it is. It's also my understanding of democracy that, say, for instance, if you've engaged in insurrection, that you're ineligible to hold office again. But that rule got wiped away by the Supreme Court because we didn't like it, because we had to make an exception for Donald Trump to run for president again. So I guess like the rules of democracy just don't seem to apply in the same way when it comes to Donald Trump. It's also my understanding, for instance, that you can impeach a person in the House and then convict them in the Senate if you feel they've done wrong and you want to not have them hold future office. But Republicans disagreed with that and they said, actually, you can impeach a man that's out of office. It was also my understanding that people can be held criminally liable for the actions that they perform, irrespective of their position in society, that no man is above the law. But the Supreme Court also disagreed with that, and now Trump enjoys absolute criminal immunity for every core action as president and presumptive immunity, at least, for basically every other thing he did while president. So all of these ideas of what a democracy is and how you hold people accountable in democracy seems like Trump and his fans don't like any of those rules. So again, if you make a king, I mean, people are going to treat him as a king.
Yeah, it's just strange to me. It seems like and let me know if you're wrong, but if I'm wrong here, but it seems like you would be fine with taking out half the country as long as they are in support of Trump because he's a dictator.
Would I be fine with it? Probably not. It'd be pretty tragic, but I think it's more tragic that we got to the point where half the country supports an insurrectionist. And I don't appreciate that for some reason conservatives have been able to dictate so much of the media agenda that we're just supposed to accept that as normal.
Do you think maybe the way that you're talking speaks to the way that politics has a way of poisoning our minds?
I think that if that was the case, I don't think this is like a person at the bottom of a pool like dyed with black water trying to tell me what he sees on the surface of the pool. Like if you're somebody that has sit there and retweeted every epic own where Tim Pool is saying Civil War, where Marjorie Taylor Greene and all these people are talking about Nancy Pelosi's husband, where everybody's denying that the Whitmer thing ever happened, whatever that is, whatever that group of people are, they are unequipped and they are unable to levy any legitimate criticism towards anybody else that's laughing at the fact that somebody showing up at a fucking dictator rally ends up getting shot by a guy trying to kill the dictator. No, whatever criticism there are to make there, that side wouldn't be able to make it.
And that's because that side supports January 6th, is that right?
That's because that side supports an insurrection against the government.
Which is January 6th, correct?
That and the events leading up to it, yes.
Right. So it seems like what I'm understanding is you don't have to be held morally accountable for any of the things that you're doing because the other side supports an insurrectionist. So it's okay to kill them. It's okay to.
I never said it's okay to kill them. The country has laws. If you shoot somebody, whatever, you should be held. Well, ooh, actually, hold on. I'm sorry. Wait, I'm sorry. I want to walk that back. I don't think in a room full of conservatives, I wouldn't say that anything should be like.
I was gonna say, right, because with all of the stuff that people have pushed, what didn't Alex Jones push the what is it that God, the school shooting thing, saying that it's fake, and then getting other people to believe it, and then harassing all the people whose children were killed. Then you got the people, right, that was saying that, like, basically Hillary Clinton was running like something underneath a pizza factory, a pizzeria that's skinning children alive or whatever it is, right? And then somebody eventually went up into that pizzeria with a weapon to try and save these children. Like, there has been so much of the rhetoric stuff, and now, like I said, now you getting this thing where hell, like with the PBD podcast, right? Because I like to watch them a lot. And they used to be like pretty balanced, obviously like right leaning, but at least like they weren't crazy. But after the whole like Obama gay letter thing, right? Then they started becoming hella unhinged. So like now it's like them. Tim Pool, of course, and like all these other like big right pundits that just keep on like pushing Civil War, like come on, like it's just like at the end of the day, like I don't agree with it, but I totally understand like where Destiny is kind of like at this point with it when you want to sit there, you want to try to like make comparisons on the left and the right with it. Again, I don't agree with it at all. But like what they say, right? If a pig wants to get dirty, why get in there with the pig, right? Because it's gonna have the home field advantage. So
you're just a speaker.
Okay, well,
go on. Finish your point.
Yes,
Sorry,
okay.
then we'll move on to Lauren. Finish your point.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we'll give him the last word. Okay. I don't care. Like, supporting a criminal is not my thing. It's supporting an insurrectionist. That's what I've said since the very beginning. I'm sure that if you go through a lot of people's actions, you might be able to find crimes. Maybe you charge more. Maybe they even get convicted for. My issue right now is not the documents case with Donald Trump. That's just one of the 4 indictments he was facing. The 2 huge ones, the Georgia one and the big federal one, the Jack Smith one about insurrection. Those are the 2 massive things. Okay. I don't even know if you want to support a president who's had criminal charges, criminal behavior. I don't even think that's necessarily anti-American, depending on what you're criminally charged. There's a whole host of like stupid things there where it's like that's criminal. You should be held accountable for it. But it's not like anti-American. Supporting an insurrection insurrection? Absolutely
It's
is.
not anti-American to not actually keep track of classified documents that put our classified activities in danger. That's not anti-American. That's not.
I mean, it would
I'm
depend.
sorry,
It would
like,
depend on. It would depend on.
as somebody who spent 10 years in the Army, I know that anybody that misplaced any classified materials in the Army, if you misplaced even a low-level classified document, one of them, you were going to lose rank, you were going to lose pay, you were very likely going to be getting jail in the Army. You're definitely going to be discharged from the military. So
Wait, so that hold on, just a real quick thing. You probably, I mean, you could be discharged, you could lose your job, you could lose rank, whatever. Likely criminally charged? Probably not.
Here's the thing. First of all, as somebody who worked in the crypto side of the Army, yes, you will be criminally charged. In fact, I've seen people be criminally charged. I've seen soldiers be criminally charged for losing a crypto device in a Humvee that was blown the fuck up. So
Yeah, no.
What? What? Okay, he's talking out of his ass. No. Like, I'm sorry. That right there, that just pissed me off. Like, what? Like, you sit there. Okay, all right. Notice too how he said a crypto device, right? He didn't say classified documents. He said a crypto device. See how slick these people try to get, because they go into a topic that you probably don't know nothing about because they've been in whatever particular field, and then they sit there and they just like real quickly try to change up the word so that you don't even catch on, right? He said classified documents, but then the guy then brought up a crypto device, right? A crypto device completely different from a classified documents case, right? And then let me tell you something, right? He said because like a vehicle that was blown up. Let's go through what he's talking about face value. Okay, what is he saying at face value? He's saying that somebody, right, got criminally charged for not recovering a device in a vehicle that was blown up, right? You know, that sounds kind of strange, right? Off the rip, doesn't that sound a bit strange to you that you would charge somebody criminally for not retrieving a device from something that was blown up, right? And we're using the context of the military here, right? So hold on, was the vehicle under attack? You know what I'm saying? Were there RPGs or something like on it? Was it a missile strike or something? Like, these are the things you want to start, like, you start thinking about, like, damn, that's kind of wild that I would sit there and be held criminally liable for not recovering a device during, like, an active war situation, right? So if what he's saying is true, which is not, I promise you it's not. I can, oh my God, it's not. It just isn't. If there was a criminal charge, there's significantly more to the story than what he just presented. I assure you, nobody's being held criminally liable for not retrieving something from a vehicle that's been blown up from an attack. All right? It could have been things like the vehicle was blown up through the negligence, right? What if, like, you know, like, I don't know, put the wrong fuel or something inside the vehicle, right? And it just exploded, right? And then you didn't bother to go back and actually go, like, get the, you know, get the device, right? Or that, like, you know, it was there was an attack, right? Like, there was an attack on like in a nearby village or something, right? Where there was RPGs and whatnot, and it blew the vehicle up, and after you neutralized the threat, you didn't bother to go and get your, like, your super sensitive stuff from the vehicle. But then even that's like a hell of a stretch, right? Because you have to show intent that you were just purposely, like, leaving it there. Like, negligence at best, what he's describing is an Article 15 at best, right? So just so you know, like, because I don't want to go, like, too deep into it, right? You have, like, they call them articles, right? There's Article 15 and then there's court martials, right? Like the actual like criminal proceedings. And so like Article 15 is like how you can adjudicate crimes without actually going through like an actual formal court process, right? And it's usually used for like low level stuff. When you sit there and say that you could lose your rank, get demoted and stuff like that, a lot of that is done through the Article 15 process. That's not a criminal proceeding. You know what I'm saying? That's, you fucked up, we're going to hold you accountable for it, and then, you know, we take all these things, right? The court process is for like the more serious things. And so like the fact that like the situation he's laying out, because again, there's no specific crime for mishandling like classified documents. It's always, like I said earlier, it is always what you did with said classified documents that's going to be the issue. And I'm realizing that it is now officially late for me. So I am going to finish this building here, like whatever I have like being built here. Let me just build it out, and then yeah, we're gonna cut this off because we gotta go. It's late, and you know we gotta go to work. So yeah, this all looks good, and then I can clean this all up like later or next time when I'm streaming.